This is our guest, John Justice, who is the host of Depeche Mode, the podcast, and of also a science fiction author. So we're going to get into details on that. But I have not told him yet that our guests get to do a drinking word. So since this is a drinking chat, anytime this word is said, we're all supposed to drink. So you get to pick that word.
Oh, that's not fair. That's not fair. See, immediately, for whatever reason, my brain went to Alan. I don't know why.
That's good. That's fine. That's perfect.
Yeah, because that way I figured if that one comes up, it won't be all that often, right? We'll go with that. We'll go with
okay.
Alan. We'll go with Alan. Yeah. Oh, I did, didn't I? Sorry.
You just said it twice. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that is our drinking.
All right.
word.
I see how this works now.
Is that Al-Anon or?
I'm going the rum route. I'm not going to say it that often. I got to be careful.
It's 2:00 and I'm still drinking coffee. I kind of tied one on last night, so
that's never stopped anybody.
I purposely did not have any alcohol last night, so I'd be good for
two. Right.
How is everybody?
I'm drinking coffee because I'm in Western Australia in Perth and it's 3 a.m.
Oh, well, that's great. Wow. There is no requirement to drink alcohol. We're just drinking anything you want to drink. So Larry's still not of age, I don't think, anyway. So, but cheers.
I don't sound very Australian because I'm originally from England. But yeah, I don't know if I'm the only Australian here, but yeah. Anyway, cheers.
Cheers. We've definitely had Australians join us in the group, and we've even had I had the pleasure of meeting one in LA that actually she did one of our videos we did for like a New Year's kind of celebration thing, and she started off the whole thing. So it was great to get to meet her in person, and hopefully you guys get to see Depeche Mode tour there next year. I'm hoping that the rumors are true and that they do make it to Australia.
We are really, really keeping our fingers crossed. But I'm coming over to Berlin in July, so
I'll be there. So maybe I'll get to say hello to you.
Well, definitely, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
So
I'm gonna go run get a Kool-Aid real quick. So yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay. So yeah. So John, Larry's has been one of our youngest. Also Willie as well. But both of these guys were like 16 when they started our drinking chats. So they were not able to. He's drinking the Kool-Aid, right? So it's not able to.
That's funny, drinking the Kool-Aid.
The Kool-Aid, I was thinking the same thing.
Yes, Australia.
What's wrong with Kool-Aid?
Kool-Aid's great. It's got that cool character too that comes through the wall and everything.
When you drink Kool-Aid, it shows your age.
Cheers. I guess here's to Alan today.
Alan.
Oh, so that's the magic word right there.
Yeah,
Alan?
it is.
Alan is the word today. Yeah.
Nice.
Rob, how many times have you met Alan?
Unfortunately, well, the first time I saw him, I was talking to Dave and Fletch. So he kind of was off inviting a girl I was hanging out with into the limo with him. So I didn't really talk to him in that interaction. But really, only time I really hung out with him was at a Recoil After meet and greet kind of thing. So
that's awesome, man.
He's the one I've met the fewest times, actually. All the other guys many times, but Alan is kind of elusive the one time, I guess. Oh, speaking of which, I'm not going to crack it yet, but since we have the full gallery, I'm going to break it out here real quick. I'll have one of these in honor of our guest today.
I'm so jealous. So jealous.
You're going to open that? I can't believe it.
Well, I bought like 28 of these things, so.
Okay, you have 27.
Open at least one.
Well, no, I've already sold a couple 4-packs, and it's a buddy's birthday. He's getting a 4-pack today, his 50th birthday. But so hopefully he's not watching.
That's like Steve. Steve had all these baseball cards and hockey cards, and one time he invites me over back in the '80s, and I come over to his house. He's got all these cards laid out over all the ground, and I was like, "This is worth a lot of money. This is worth a lot of money." But I tore them, I ripped them apart, they're in threes, and he ripped them all apart. I'm like, well, there goes all your money.
Oh man. Oh, brutal.
Yeah, there was a podcast friend that was going to send me one of those, but I don't know. I couldn't. To have him send one beer, it just seemed like a lot of effort, and I was like, it's okay. But he was willing to send me one of those, but I'm jealous.
I'm kind of perplexed on the collab with North Park when either Martin or Dave doesn't drink.
Well, here's what I heard. So we went down to the brewery in San Diego, and we were trying to ask the first guy, and he just was saying, "Oh yeah, it's a collab, whatever." Well, one of the other bartenders that came in later while we were still there, my buddy overheard him saying that Ticketmaster is the one that requested that they do a collab with Depeche Mode. So I don't know if that's maybe the only good thing Ticketmaster has done in their lifetime, but that's what I've heard. So I don't know. We'll see what the real story is sometime, I'm sure. But right now, you can only get that beer on tap in San Diego. They are no longer making the cans. So
damn.
Yeah. So you gotta get to my house before I run out.
Nice Kool-Aid, Larry.
Yeah, the Kool-Aid Jammer. It's not just the regular Kool-Aid, it's the Kool-Aid Jammer, right?
Who knew there was different kinds? I didn't know.
I had two boxes. I had tropical punch and cherry, but I basically drank all the tropical punch. So yeah, it's that cherry's the only box I have.
Address. That's
Nice.
your address you use for everything when you want to deliver to your house.
So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna switch to like the speaker mode. So we're gonna spotlight on John and talk a little with him. Then we'll open it up for Q&A, and then after that we'll get back to this kind of gallery mode. But we're gonna switch over to the speaker mode right now. So Jeff, I'm gonna keep you on as co-host up on here as well too. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So John, welcome and thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you.
Oh man, thanks for having me on. Like I said, we were talking off the air, and Rob and I bizarrely, and we don't really know how, go way back, and have kind of reconnected after, I don't know, what did we figure? 37, 38 years or something?
Yeah, something crazy.
Yeah, just insane. So yeah, this is really cool. So thanks for inviting me on. And like I said before, Rob, it's great to connect with you again. One day we'll figure out where those friendships were crossing and the time that we spent together back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, he's one of the few people around still that have seen Life with Debauchery. So that was the band Jeff and I both had back in the days. So yeah, pretty cool. So John, how Depeche Mode the podcast? I can't even believe that title is available. How
I know. I couldn't either, and I still feel bad for using it because it sounds like too official, and my podcast is anything but official. It was just one of those things that I was, you know what, I'm just going to call it Depeche Mode the podcast when I started it, and nobody else had done it. The only other podcast that I was even aware of at the time, which is really good, is the Breathing in Fumes podcast, and I'm not sure. I believe that he was doing one when I started, but it was really sporadic at the time. So when I started mine, I just decided to be as direct with it as possible and go with Depeche Mode the podcast.
Yeah, so I know some people are already familiar and listeners, but for those that aren't, which platforms can they listen to it on?
It's on pretty much all the major platforms. Spotify, it's on iHeart, it's on Amazon, pretty much any. I go through Spreaker, so I'm fairly confident that whatever podcast platform you use, you can find it. If you just look for Depeche Mode the podcast or under My Nerd World, which is kind of the banner that I do all of my podcasts under, you'll find it. It's up on YouTube as well, just in the audio form. There's a few videos that are up there with it, but it's mostly all audio.
I wanted to check out your Star Wars podcast, but I haven't finished The Mandalorian yet, so I want to wait until. It was kind of like, so he also had Memento Mori, a little in advance, and I listened a little bit. I was a little curious, but then I gotta wait and hear it on my own to get my own. But I did listen to some of what you were saying, and definitely made me more excited to hear the album. Especially you had such high praise early on. So
yeah,
and you were right, spot on. I love the album.
I was really worried. Because I tend to get really enthusiastic. I was pretty enthusiastic when Spirit came out, and there's still a lot of tracks on that album that I like, but it didn't stick with me as well as Memento Mori had. But when I got it and I did my initial reviews, I was just so thrilled with it. But I'll be honest, I was really nervous because of all the praise I was giving it. I'm like, oh man, if this comes out and like all the fans hate it, that's going to suck. But thankfully, when people started to hear it, I felt a lot better. Not that it mattered all that much. It's all subjective anyways, but you feel bad if you get people's hopes up and they're dashed when they listen to it. But it seems like everybody's been enjoying it as much as I have. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you never know what you're going to get. And like you said, music is subjective, but because I was blown away when I heard My Cosmos Is Mine. That's the kind of track I really love to hear. I like the darker stuff, and but there was a lot of negativity in my group about that song when it came out. After Ghosts Again, which is obviously very commercial, a great song, but much more pop oriented, right? So when people started kind of going out a little negatively about My Cosmos Is Mine, I'm like, I don't know what's up with these people. You guys were wanting Alan Wilder back in the band. This is exactly what Alan would have done.
That's twice you said. Twice you said it.
Yeah, that's right. I can't even believe I brought Alan Wilder.
I know. I thought it wasn't going to be mentioned all that often, so that's why I didn't. That's why I chose that. But I guess I was wrong. I should have known better.
Maybe it was a subconscious thing that I wanted to get the people to drink a little bit.
Well, yeah, I remember I was given some snippets of the album before I got the full album about a month ahead of time. And the few tracks that I had heard, Don't Say You Love Me, Caroline's Monkey, there was something different about them. And if these were, somebody had taken a cell phone and basically recorded some 1-2 minute snippets of these songs and sent them to me before I got the whole album. So I wasn't getting the full, it was a cell phone recording, so it wasn't great, but it was enough to kind of get a vibe. But I could tell that there was just something different about the record in and of itself. And it was funny because when we all found out that Richard Butler had helped Martin, co-write some of the songs, then it began to click a little bit. Because I know for me, and I think for other people, Rob, I don't know about you or others, but, those songs, the way that they're crafted, at least in my opinion, is different than the way Martin would typically write. And I remember listening to those tracks before knowing that, thinking, wow, this sounds different. And this sounds a little bit, a little not off, but it was different in a good way from what we had typically get from Martin. And then when we found out that, Richard Butler helped, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Even the fact that like Ghosts Again is kind of like a major instead of a minor tune.
Yeah.
And most of the major tunes from Martin haven't been the greatest of songs, in my opinion, like things like Peace or Get Right With Me, but that song in particular, Ghosts Again, balances it perfect. It gets the balance right, I guess. Right. But I love what he brought to it.
I want to hear those demos. I want to hear the demos with Richard Butler singing them, because I can hear him, especially on Ghosts Again. I can hear Richard Butler's voice in that song, and I would be fascinated to hear what that demo sounds like.
One of our mutual friends, the Jeff that you mentioned on your podcast, at Sacramento, he's going to see Richard Butler tonight, I believe, in Arizona.
That's right.
He's hoping that he will play some of the tracks that Depeche Mode hasn't played yet, that are Martin Gore co-written tracks. That would be interesting if he does.
Now, this has been a really fun time. I mentioned this on the show, but going back to those years, Rob, when we were crossing paths, just especially in Southern California, it was such a lifestyle. Like the Depeche Mode fans we all knew each other. And when those albums came out, Violator and Songs of Faith and Devotion, I mean, it was just all such a part of our lives in that moment in time. And, all these years later, getting older, having a family, having kids, this time around has been the closest that I can compare to those years. And even things like being able to go and do this, but meeting more fans and hearing from individuals from the podcast. This has been like the closest knit community worldwide of Depeche Mode fans that I've been in contact with since going back to, probably Ultra.
Yeah, and you made a good point on your podcast about that. Is there any other band that has a community like this?
Yeah.
Which I don't know that there is necessarily, but I can't imagine that there is. I mean, even Martin on a recent interview was talking about, while he was mentioning it about the Europeans, I think it applies to kind of across the board, where he talks about the band are kind of like a cult, and they're the cult leaders, and my family teases me about that. They're like, yeah, you guys are a cult, but I'm like, okay, whatever, cool. I'm good. I'm happy to be part of the cult, I guess.
Every week when I go to record the show, my wife just looks at me and goes, how do you find things to talk about every week when you do the show? And I go, I always do. there's always something to discuss. And she's always kind of shakes her head at me.
No, that's how we are. And during the pandemic too, I was also, besides this stuff, I was hosting a radio show on an internet radio station called Mode Block. So it was basically like back-to-back tracks that had some sort of connection. I did 75 episodes, and I could have kept going, but we closed down that internet radio station, and I was going to move it to Spotify. But then Spotify has this weird thing where if you want to do a show, it has to be like 70% talk and not, and the whole premise of the show was based on the music. I mean, sure, there was discussion and commentary between the tracks, but the show was about the music, about Depeche Mode's music.
Yeah.
So yeah, stop that. But
that was a problem,
thank you, Mikey.
That was a problem I ran into early on the show, because I really wanted to. And I think in the earlier episodes, I'd have to go back. I think in the earlier episodes, I used a lot more music. But as time went on and I did more episodes, I kept getting dinged. I kept getting cease and desist orders, and I couldn't put anything on YouTube whenever I played any audio. And it sucked, because that's one thing that I really would have wanted to do. And I had to make a choice a long time ago, whether or not I was going to actually include music from the band or not. And, I like to make a little bit of money off of it. I don't make a lot, but so I just decided to not play any music at all. I even had an intro for a while that I was able to use, and now I can't even play the intro anymore, because it was just a bunch of snippets of songs. And every time I play that, even if it's a few seconds, I get dinged with the cease and desist.
Yeah, you're lucky they haven't dinged you on that, like the little "I feel you"-ish kind of riff right there. But yeah, I like your intro. It's cool.
Yeah, Tokyo Skyline, who Jason, who made that for me, he said he was worried about it too, and I was fairly confident that since he kind of constructed that on his own, that we'd be all right. I almost got the whole thing taken down a couple of weeks back. iTunes was going to yank it down, and I think it's because of the remix that I did. I took that snippet from the of My Cosmos' Mind from the Berlin press conference that had that bit of Ghosts Again when it goes into the snippet of Ghosts Again. So I took that with the instrumental and the single version. I made like an extended mix, and I threw that up. And I put that up on the podcast, and I completely forgot that I did. And I didn't have any sort of blowback on it. And then suddenly I got this, warning from iTunes that some European label, investigator was getting ready to close the whole thing down, and I freaked out. So I started just deleting anything that I had any Depeche Mode audio, and thankfully they backed off. So
wow, the Depeche Mode police.
Right.
So with Spreaker, you have no problems, though, right?
No, Spreaker hasn't given me any trouble at all. This was actually coming from Apple iTunes. It was a European label company that I wasn't familiar with, but it sounds like it was like a US version of, was it ASCAP? Is that what it is? Am I getting that right? It was like a European version of that. And so I just went and I took it down and was waiting for a response. And I said, well, I took down these podcasts. I hope that's okay. And they were like, yeah, you're fine. So, but Spreaker's always been great. I've been using them since I started.
One of your latest podcasts, you talked about concert attire. So we've had a huge discussion on our drinking chats before about this as well. When I was growing up, it was always like, you don't wear the band's shirt to their concert. So it was okay to wear like a Cure shirt to a Depeche Mode show, or a Depeche Mode shirt to a Cure. But that, coming from a global perspective now, and especially after I went and saw them in France on the last tour, in Europe, everybody wears the band shirt, and it's like an insult to the band if you're not wearing their shirt. So I don't know if that was just a Southern California thing, as far as like what, the kind of concert etiquette that you don't wear the band shirt to their concert. But I've even seen, like, there were interviews back in the 80s with 91X where they were criticizing the guys wearing the Cure shirt to the Cure concert. But you kind of took it in a different direction, but I just wanted to throw that out there for a little bit of
Well, that confirms what I thought, because in my circle of friends, it was the other way. Like in my circle of friends, the cred was wearing the shirt of the band, especially with Depeche. It was wearing a Depeche Mode shirt when you went, and the older the tour shirt you wore, the more kind of cred that you had. But I remember that there was another opinion. There was like another facet to it. And I hadn't heard, like, I was expecting to hear that when I threw that question out on the podcast. I was waiting to hear, Rob, that comment you just made, and nobody said it. And I was like, well, that's really weird, because I could have swore that there was like a contingent of individuals that were like, do not wear the band shirt to the show. You just confirmed it for me. So
there's actually a clip from a movie. I forget the name of the movie. And if you know the name of the movie, please post it in the chat. But excuse me. So John Favreau is like very young in it, and he's wearing a shirt, and I forget the other actor's name. He's famous from one of these great shows.
Swingers?
No, I don't know if it's Swingers, but anyway, if you'll know when I talk about it. But the guy is basically saying, "Wait, you're wearing the shirt of the band you're gonna go see? Don't be that guy." And that clip is out there, but
yeah, I was that guy.
I don't know if you guys know is it? I don't think it's Swingers. I feel like it's a different.
No, it's not.
Movie.
It's not Swingers. I know the movie you're talking about, but it's not.
Oh,
Swingers.
High Fidelity. That's it.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
John Cusack. Yeah.
So yeah,
it's funny that.
Go ahead, Richard.
Oh, I was gonna say, it was Delta Machine, and I was in Houston, and this guy was wearing I forget what tour shirt he had on, but it was really super tight on him. It looked funny. He tried, like wearing an old shirt for street cred. Like, I've been listening to the band for like forever, but it was like, totally busting out of it. I'm like, dude, it's okay, man.
Well, here's a funny story of my first time wearing a Depeche Mode shirt to a Depeche Mode concert. So during the Spirit tour, they announced, like on Instagram or whatever, they showed these Depeche Mode shirts at Fred Segal, and they had like the Black Celebration shirts, the Some Great Reward shirts. And as soon as they posted that, I called Fred Segal and I asked him, hey, put a hold on me for Some Great Reward and Black Celebration t-shirts and extra large, So I go buy them. Holy crap, they were like $300 something for the two t-shirts. I was like, I mean, it was cool because they're the original designs, and my Black Celebration shirt got stolen in Mexico in spring break in '88, so I lost all that. So I was like, cool, I got a Black Celebration shirt. But I was like, damn, $300 something, ridiculous, right? But I'm like, screw it, I'm wearing that Black Celebration shirt to the Hollywood Bowl. I'm in the front row that night. I'm gonna wear that shirt. So that's the first time I wore a Depeche Mode shirt to a Depeche Mode concert.
You should have known it was Fred Segal. It was going to be hundreds of dollars.
No, you know what? I had no idea. I've never shopped there, and I'm not really familiar with the company at all. I didn't think a T-shirt would be more than $50 or something. But
I always thought it was okay to wear a Depeche Mode shirt to a Depeche Mode concert, but I guess I was wrong.
Well, it's even funny. There was like a Beatles tribute band playing, and I told my mom because she was wearing a Beatles shirt. I told her, and she went home and changed. But you know what? I won't follow that creed anymore because, to each their own, do what you want to do. As long as you're not hurting anyone else, that's cool. But this last tour, I did not wear any t-shirts, Depeche Mode at all, or any band actually. So, but that was just what I chose. I chose to dress in the style of Dave from that Black Celebration era, like with the cool black collars and stuff like that. So,
see, I've noticed that a lot. I've noticed that quite a bit too, just looking at photos of people going to the show, that they seem to be, mimicking either Martin or Dave in their attire. I remember when I went to one of the few times that I met him, when I went off of K-Rock to go to the Shrine Auditorium for the Ultra launch party, that little mini concert that they did. I actually had the picture. I got it here. Oh yeah, I do have it right here. There it is. Get it up there. Yeah. I'm off in the corner.
Awesome.
Richard Blade up there. But I ended up going. You can't really see it in the picture, but I wore, like the white tank top with the suit jacket. Didn't look anything like Dave. I thought I did, but that's what I was going for at the time.
I got to go to that show, but I won it through the record company.
Oh, really?
And
Are
so
you in
I
the
didn't
picture?
I didn't get any picture. They didn't take any picture with us. I don't know why. Like all the people that
Would've
won
helped.
through K-Rock got to get a picture with the band, but I didn't get to get one for some reason.
See,
We
that
snuck
would
all
have
the
been amazing.
cameras
You got
in,
to
but
meet
we
them.
never.
There's a cassette over there. Oh yeah, that's a cool picture. Oh, so you're right behind Richard Blade?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
We snuck a lot of cameras in there, but I don't remember ever seeing the films developed.
Yeah, that was cool.
Well, so those pictures that he just showed, those were the official, like they set up like a little photo op for everybody from the record, or not the record label, but from K-Rock.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the night I won that. I freaked out. I was living in Anaheim, not too far from Disneyland, and I turned a buddy on to the band, and he lived out in Hollywood. And I remember that. And it was like a weeknight. It was like a Tuesday night. I've been trying all week to win. I won. Never won anything off of K-Rock before, and I was so excited. I ended up driving out to Hollywood to his place, and got ridiculously drunk on a work night. I think I threw up on the way home. I'm fairly certain.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was driving back out of LA. This is a really gross story. I was in my Volkswagen Squareback, banana yellow, and I remember I got sick and I didn't pull over. I just threw up on the passenger side and just kept on driving because I was running late for work. Oh, my kids are.
Well, the great thing is now you have that for posterity on the Depeche Global YouTube channel.
There you go. That's one story I hadn't told on the show yet.
You'd be a rich man if you still had that square back.
Right?
I was going to say the same thing.
I loved that car. Yeah. I took that car to Dodger Stadium for one of the shows.
Now, did you get to go to the Universal show?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I was there too. Yeah. That was an epic. That was real epic right there.
Yeah. I saw every Southern California date on World Violation and was it 4 it was 5 nights at the Forum, right? Was it 5 or 4?
Well, they didn't play there on World Violation.
For Songs of Faith and Devotion.
Yeah.
So I saw every single California show except for Sacramento on the devotional tour. So during that time, I think you were probably going to all of them as well.
I went to Sacramento actually at that time.
Did you? Yeah, that's the only one I didn't make it to.
But I did like a few at the Forum, and then I did San Diego. I scattered them around, so I went all over the state. But I didn't do every single Forum show, and I don't know why I didn't. I mean, I guess because I was young and probably the budget was not there. Maybe I don't know, but yeah. I definitely had some pretty good times there, though. That was pretty cool.
One of my most memorable shows, apart from the Rose Bowl, was the first devotional show that I saw in San Jose. And that's what was so amazing back then. And I almost was going to do it this tour, but I just couldn't because of doing the podcast. But going to the shows back then and not knowing, at least I didn't, not knowing what the set list was going to be and not knowing what the stage was going to be. And I'll never forget seeing the devotional show for the first time. And then that night, just the start of every single song was just this celebration of, they're doing this one. It's a different version. It was just, I will never, ever forget that first night in San Jose, seeing the devotional show. That's what was so amazing about going, like, whether the World Violation or devotional, not knowing what you were going to get on those first nights was just incredible.
Oh, I agree. And that's why for Sacramento this time, I think kind of like the week leading up to it, I just was kind of laying off social media as much as I could. And anytime I saw anyone say something like about anything related to the word set list, I just close that, So I didn't know anything when I saw that show. And I mean, honestly, I was a little disappointed because of all the hype I had for, Dave like teasing, we might do the Sun and the Rainfall or something, but so I just had too high of expectations. By the LA show, I just grounded myself and I'm like, wait, what are you getting? Who cares? They played 4 of your favorite songs. They're still touring. They're out there. You're like having a great time. You're at the show. just enjoy it. And so I did, and LA was fantastic. And New York blew me away. I could not believe, I always thought LA was the place, like, for Depeche Mode fans. New York was phenomenal. Like, that, the place was electric. The fans were awesome. Everyone was super cool. I had always heard things about, like, oh, New Yorkers are kind of this and that. Everyone was so amazing. I had such an incredible trip. So cheers to all of you out there in New York and on the East Coast. You guys have absolutely earned my respect.
It's up to you, New York.
Yeah. I remember just going, not even having tickets. You just go and show up.
Yay!
I'm going to bring you on real quick, Jackie.
Oh, you are? Okay.
So now you're focused here, but yeah, Jackie's one of them. She actually came out, and we didn't know anything about the subway. She actually came and rode to the subway by where we were and took us to Madison Square Garden, and there was a pre-party right by there. So we went to the pre-party, and so thank you so much for that. And then also hooked it up. She works for the Yankees. Hooked it up that we were on the big screen on the Yankees broadcast. When we were walking to our seats, they were playing Enjoy the Silence. It was like, oh, this is phenomenal. How cool is that, right? So thank you so much, Jackie.
You're welcome. They did great on the subway. They were following me, and we went to the pre-party and then showed them the entrance, how to get into the garden. I mean, I'm native New Yorker. I'm third generation. I was born in the city, my parents and grandparents also. So it was great to show off and show my beautiful hometown to Rob and his beautiful wife, Lucy, and, devotees, and, just getting together, because I had seen Rob, but we had never met. And as he said, yes, I work for the Yes Network at the Yankees, and the guy who works the scoreboard, Vito, sometimes will play some Depeche because he knows I'm a little devotee. So when I texted him that Rob is in the house, so when Rob was walking up to his seat, was playing some Depeche, and even during the game too. But I did say, because to put somebody up on the big board, we know Rob is an Angels fan. I said, you can't wear any Angels, because please be neutral, because you would get booed, and I didn't want Rob to get booed up on the board. So he did put on, he'll show you the shot later, he did put on a Depeche, and we got to know that. And it was just great. And thank you for saying that, because us New Yorkers do have a reputation, and I get it. And it's kind of good because it kind of keeps people away. So and sometimes I'm really happy that people stay out of town. But when Rob and other people can come in, so if anybody else is coming in the fall, please let me know. I'll put my contact information in, and I'm going to be heading over to Italy, to Bologna and Milano, and then I'm planning on doing Helsinki and a few other places. Wow. So I would love to hook up with people international. I do have some other devotees that I'm hooking up with, and like Rob said, we wear our shirts, and I'm going to go get my DM devotee shirt. That's some dude. I don't remember the dude that gave it to me many years ago, but I do have a devotee shirt on the back. I don't know if you guys have seen it. So anyway, that's it. Anything else, Rob?
Well, no, I'm going to need to make some more Depeche Mode Global Fan Group shirts, so people could start rocking those at the concerts too.
Wait, Jack.
That's a great idea. Can you make it a V-neck for the lady?
Yeah, we could do some V-necks. I'll do a V-neck for you. Thank you. Actually, I don't know if I have one.
Hey, Jackie, you can't even wear an Angel shirt to Dodger Stadium. You'll get skinned alive.
Really?
This was the last one we did.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm a V-neck girl, so.
Yeah, and we had a version with a V-neck of it too. So, it's like a dry fit material too. So, my sister's company makes they have a sporting company, so it's pretty cool.
Well, I'll rock it in Milan or Bologna or Helsinki or something.
There you go. Yeah,
I'll definitely.
I've had a lot of requests to make more of these, so I'm announcing on the air right now that I will do it. So.
Yes. Wait. So Jack, so what you're saying is, in the baseball world, if you're an Angels fan going to Yankee Stadium, it's illegal to smuggle Angels memorabilia into New York.
No, I'm not saying that exactly, because this last trip with Ohani, how do you say his name?
Otani.
Otani, correct. They were actually selling Otani merchandise in the Yankee store. What I'm saying is on the big board where they show pictures and people, I don't think the fans would really be yelling so much because it's not a big rivalry. But my guys that are up in the scoreboard, they exclusively want to just put the Yankee fans on. So by me asking a favor of one of the camera guys and the director, I wanted to respect what their wishes are.
And I got to still wear red. I wore that shirt that Jeff is wearing right now.
Correct.
So I wore the Depeche Mode red shirt with the skull. So
yeah,
I represented, and then I also bought the shirt. They were selling a T-shirt that showed Otani versus Judge, a home run battle in the Bronx. So I bought that. And like she said, they were selling Angels jerseys in the team store at Yankee Stadium, which was mind blowing. I think it was even like mind blowing to people across the world that Japanese media was interviewing me in the team store because when I was buying that T-shirt. So there was two different news crews that actually interviewed me.
Yeah, it was first time ever for that. So that was really good. And plus we got him on the Yes Network because we put him on the Yes Network too. So
that was awesome.
It was a great weekend and we got together and you're welcome. And John, nice to meet you too. I'm going to subscribe and check out your podcast. So
thanks. Nice meeting you as well. Thank you.
And hello to all the devotees. This is a great thing you're doing, Rob. I'm excited.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you.
You should have seen him on whatever network the Angels games air on. One time the commentary team said that guy's like a super fan. Yeah, no shit, you think?
So here's what he's referring to. So there was an actual video where I shared it because they showed me or whatever, but I think that's a separate video. But there was one guy, one of the broadcasters from the Angels was a huge Depeche Mode fan, Darren Sutton. So they actually had like the song of the game was Everything Counts. And I thought that was the video, but now that I think about it, you must have seen the other video, Larry, where they talked about me being a super fan. But yeah, I am a super fan. So as crazy as my Depeche Mode collection, you see all this stuff, I have another room with all Angels memorabilia. I guess kind of like
the whole house. The whole house is Angel memorabilia.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like John has the Star Wars and the Depeche Mode. So
yeah,
you do the same thing, but with the different direction, right?
Well, it was funny. I thought when I started, because I started the Star Wars podcast first before, I think I did. I had to go back and look at the dates. I'm pretty sure I started the Star Wars podcast first. But I expected that one of the two was going to be the more popular. And now all these years later, like the Depeche Mode one has far exceeded what I ever could have expected compared to what the Star Wars one turned into. I still do it, but there's so many Star Wars podcasts out there. So, Depeche is a little bit more niche, but it still has such a massive audience, especially when the new albums come out. I remember when Spirit came out is when it really, really grew, and then it kind of, died down again. And this time around it's grown again. So it's been great.
So for everyone, if you haven't been on, just so you know, Alan is our drinking word. And I'm going to talk about a few more things with John, but if you want to start queuing up, if any of you want to be brought on to ask a question or just brought on to talk a bit about Depeche Mode and the tour or the new album, whatever. Jeff, can you kind of pay attention to who, get a queue of people?
I'll try my best.
Okay, cool. I know he's been up all night because he was working late last night. So thanks for putting in the time, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Of course, no problem.
So let's see. Well, actually, let's talk about, since we are talking about the Star Wars. So you're a sci-fi author. Tell us about your books and how you can get them and all the details about that.
So I've been doing radio for 27 years now, but one of the things that has always been one of the things that I've been worst at was kind of grammar and writing. When I was doing the show years ago in Tucson, when blogs were a big deal, the guy that was producing my show and my program director would often have to go in and he'd have to rewrite my blogs because they were just written more like streams of consciousness and trying to figure out what it was I was saying. So I grew up on Star Wars. I saw the original Star Wars when I was a kid, 5 years old, with my dad, and loved science fiction growing up. I was a fan before of Star Wars before I was a fan of anything else, kind of like I was a fan of Depeche Mode before I was a fan of any other band after hearing Shake the Disease, going back to 86. So I had an idea back in 2015 for a story, and I just wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to know what it was like to create, my own universe and my own characters. And I was so inspired by George Lucas. And so I wrote the first book, Embark. It's a science fiction space opera. It's written for adults, but it's great for kids 11 and older. I kind of mashed up all the genres that I like of science fiction, space opera, disaster stories, the 80s, John Hughes films that I, grew up watching. So the romance that's in it. And of course I injected a bunch of Depeche Mode into it. The main character is a Depeche Mode fan in the future. So I made it so that in the book, the music between the 80s and 2000s is nostalgic, kind of like in what they did in Ready Player One. So nice. I made that sort of the popular music of the future time so that I could include Depeche Mode and Pop Will Eat Itself and Nine Inch Nails and Night to Reb. And so I've got like all kinds of direct and indirect references to those bands in all the books, but the main character kind of carries with him his Depeche Mode fandom through all seven stories. And so that's how it started. I wrote the first one. I liked writing it so much that I ended up making an entire series out of it. So there's 7 books available now, and audiobook and ebook and paperback and hardcover.
I think you just I'm sure a lot of ears popped when they heard that the character is the actual Depeche Mode fan. So that makes it even more intriguing. So that's very cool.
Yeah, there's all kinds of I use song lyrics in there. When the character gets older and has kids, his kids give him a hard time for being a Depeche Mode fan. The kids end up becoming Depeche Mode fans. It's not a central part of the story, but it's injected into sort of the soul of it. I mean, and the main protagonist, Taft, is based off of me. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, he's a hopeless romantic like I am and a massive Depeche Mode fan. So I kind of injected myself into that character. But it's been fun. It's been a fun experience. I'm working on an 8th book, but I've been really busy doing the full-time job and the podcast and all that, so I haven't been able to write all that much lately.
I heard Pop Will Eat Itself.
Huge Pop Will Eat Itself fan.
Funny you mentioned Shake the Disease. It's release day for that.
Yep. Very special day. Very special day.
All right.
Danny, are you still on?
Hey, sorry, I am, as usual, in the middle of a project. Bear with me 1 second, I'll come on screen. I'm kind of lurking, and I apologize for that, but I did want to talk to John. But here we are on Zoom. Sorry, guys.
No problem. I know I put you on the spot right here, but
it's great. No, it's great. I appreciate it.
I know since you were a longtime listener, I want to put you on first here. So.
Yeah, sure. No. So first of all, hello, John. Danny Gardner. I'm out in Virginia, Fairfax, Virginia, near Washington, D.C. And I thought I'd just tell you a quick story. So in 2020, during the pandemic, I had begun trying to reach out to some Depeche Mode communities in preparation for the Rock and Roll Hall induction, and hope to meet some cool people and, party before and after the show and just meet other fans. And then the pandemic came along, and Rob and the other groups of Depeche Global started gathering through these drinking chats. But anyway, I just kind of spent that summer kind of getting reacquainted with the catalog. Frankly, I'd never bought an album before Some Great Rewards. So I started digging a little deeper in the music that I hadn't even really listened to in the past. But I was on a fishing trip with some friends down in Texas, and I wasn't even really a podcast listener, and just happened to, I don't know what made me hit the little app on the phone, but I searched Depeche Mode and ran across your podcast. So that was November or October of 2020. I went back, listened to everything predating that was out there on Apple, and I've just become an avid listener ever since. So every week I listen to 2 podcasts religiously. Every time yours pops up, I hit it immediately and listen to it all the way through. And then my other one I talked a lot about on these drinking chats is the Alan Cross's Ongoing History of New Music. And those have been great escapes for me. But the things I've enjoyed the most about listening to your podcast is just a lot of the opinions you and listeners have about the band, about some of the work, the concerts. I feel like we're very mentally aligned on a lot of those things. So that's why I really enjoy listening to it. So thanks for taking the time and putting that out there for all of us to enjoy. But it's really been a nice escape for me for the last, I guess, 3 years now.
Oh, well, thanks, man. That means the world to me. That's awesome. I really, when I started the podcast, I didn't know who was going to find it. I didn't know who was going to listen to it. I figured Depeche Mode fans would, but I didn't spend any time and really never have like promoting it. I just basically did it and put it out there. And so much of it ends up just kind of being stream of consciousness stuff. But I figured, well, I know that we kind of all have a kinship, as Depeche Mode fans. And it's awesome to hear that story. That's really cool. And I'm glad you found it. That means a lot to me.
Thanks. Well, it's great to see you visually. I've heard your voice for a long time, and so I always had a smile when I logged on and heard your voice. I was like, oh, that's the face with the voice. So anyway, great.
Yeah, it's always when that happens, right? Sometimes it meets expectations, and sometimes it doesn't, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you're going to be headed to the Denver show, if I remember correctly. You got tickets for that. So I don't currently have plans to do Denver. I'm going to probably do Dallas. I've got tickets for the next round of LA. But anyway, I'll keep listening. And if you find yourself at another show and I know I'm going to be there, I'll seek you out and see if we can't say hello in person.
That'd be awesome. It was great meeting you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it.
You bet. Have a good day.
Thanks, Danny.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think Matthew might still be on here. Matthew is the friend that I'm going to go to the Denver show with. Well, he's making all that happen for me, and I can't thank him enough. I can't wait to go. I'm bummed that I haven't been able to see a show yet. It's been killing me. I remember back, I think Rob, you'll relate to this. I remember when Depeche Mode would come around, like for example, the warehouse record store signing. I had to work that night and I couldn't get to it, and it killed me. It just, I can still remember the feeling that night of having to work. Now, granted, the whole thing, went bust when, the crowd control, showed up. But I still remember being at home and it just absolutely killing me that I could not get out to the record store signing at that point in time. So talk about FOMO back in the day. So
I was at that all day, and then, I didn't get in, but I was joking around in line earlier that day saying, oh yeah, they're going to be at the Cat House tonight. Well, later I thought about it. I'm like, wait, it's a Tuesday night. Maybe they will be at the Cat House. We went to the Cat House afterwards, and their limos were across the street. We weren't old enough to get in. And so we waited until the club closed. Dave came stumbling out. I was talking to him, and that's the time when Alan invited the girl I was hanging out with into the limo with, so Alan is the drinking word, so I said it twice now.
I got there the 9 o'clock the night before, and just a big waste of time. So John, you didn't miss anything, really.
Now,
unless you were with Rob and you went to the Cat House, then I guess it was all worth it.
No, in retrospect, I was glad I didn't go because of what happened. But now Rob or somebody else might be able to help me out with this. But Rob, do you remember in that time period, it was frequent when the band went out that they would go out in pairs. Do you remember which pairs, who would go with who at the time?
They had two different limos. So,
okay.
I feel like, I think Alan went, normally it would be Alan and Dave and Fletch and Martin.
Okay.
But at the Cat House, Martin was sick at the warehouse that, like, someone actually had to bring him Pepto-Bismol to the warehouse, actually. So he didn't go out to the Cat House afterwards. He went back to the hotel, but it was Alan, Fletch, and Dave. But I didn't see them get in their limos, but I know what you're talking about. And it was usually Alan and Dave that were together, Martin and Fletch that were together.
So I've told the story before on the show, but I'll tell
Anton
it now.
Carbone.
It was the World Violation Tour, and it was in between one of the nights, and I had heard that they were going to be going out on the town. And Rob, I want to say it was Florentine Gardens that they went to, but I could be wrong on that. But I remember we ended up going to a club. I think it was Florentine Gardens, and
Viper Room.
No, it wasn't. It was a much bigger club that we went to. There was like an upper level we ended up at, and it was Martin and Fletch, and they were just kind of with their entourage. And me and my buddies were hanging around, and I ended up standing there next to Martin. And I'll never forget this part of it. I'm standing there next to Martin, And he's got this confused look on his face. And I'm just stunned that Martin's just standing in front of me, right? And he's got this just bewildered look. And I just said, what's wrong? And he goes, I don't know which drink is mine. And he points to the table, and there's these two drinks sitting there, right? Yeah, he was hammered. And I go, well, it's that one. And he goes, well, how do you know? And I said, because it's got more alcohol in it, because it was fuller. The other one was almost empty. And he goes, oh, that's a good point. And he grabbed it and said thanks and grabbed the drink and walked away. So I'd met him backstage a couple of times in other circumstances, including that Shrine Auditorium show. But that was my only time like being out in public and coming in contact with him. So I'll never forget that. It was funny. He was so drunk.
I remember him running out of the Viper room, going to the limo. That was funny.
So when was this, Jeff?
Oh my God. See, they were staying at the Sunset Marquee. That's when we saw Terrence Trent D'Arby and some other people and some actors from 21 Jump Street. They used to come out and hang out with us. I can't remember what tour it was. Was it Violator? I can't remember. It was fun. It was good times.
Very cool.
I almost ran over the Pet Shop Boys with my Volkswagen Squareback.
Oh, I met them too. At the same time.
It was right around that same era. And it was right off of Hollywood Boulevard. And there's a couple of those blocks on Hollywood Boulevard where the streets that go out there's the slope to them. And I remember I was kind of inching up because my car didn't have a lot of power to it because it was a Volkswagen Squareback. And I was kind of like rocking it, trying to get momentum to make the corner. And the both of them came walking across the street, and they both had to kind of jump. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's the Pet Shop Boys. That was clear. And everybody in the car knew it. It was, yeah. Well, I almost.
We went to their hotel and we called them down. They came down. They chatted with us. We took pictures. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it had to be. I bet it was around the same time. That's crazy. It's just so crazy. All of us, like Jeff, I'm assuming you lived in the area at the time as well, in Southern California.
Myself?
Yeah.
Yeah. God, yeah. Always Orange County. Rob always gets the front row everywhere I go. He's there in the front row.
Okay.
Always a VIP. So yeah, it was pretty. I remember going to Vegas. I never have tickets, so I just show up and somehow I get in. I have no idea. Just get lucky. That's why I tell people just to go. And we went to Vegas, and that's when they canceled. I met they were at Denny's, and I walked up to the table and I was hanging out with them for a little bit. That's pretty cool. So yeah, it's crazy. A small world. Orange County used to work with No Doubt, and I didn't even know that No Doubt was No Doubt, and Gwen and Tony. So didn't network. So, but I'm glad they made it, and they're doing great.
I got to tell this story.
Tony's killing it.
I had a friend of mine. I didn't know who No Doubt was. He was friends with them. I was in his house. Didn't know who Gwen Stefani was. She came over. She came into his room and was all giddy because she had a cassette copy for the single for Just a Girl. And this was before they'd gone and blown up at the time. So, yeah, I still remember that. And then she left. And, of course, No Doubt ended up just, becoming massive after that. I was like, oh, my gosh. I could have dated Gwen Stefani. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, back in the day, it was a different singer. I went to Buena Park High, and there was a different singer. And it was always No Doubt and Blind Mice, some punk group. And I used to never go to parties. I used to go to the clubs, all the clubs in Hollywood and stuff, just still didn't network. And I remember later on in life, I worked at Broadway in Anaheim. Well, at Broadway, Gwen Stefani was selling Clinique, and Tony was selling suits, and I was working in men's department too. And he always just invited me, hey, you need to go come see us, come see our band. I never did because I never, again, didn't go to hang out with bands or just went to the clubs. And then one time he invited me to go to their first shoot. And I'm like, no, I don't do that stuff. He's a really nice guy. And then later on, I go in the story I told before, and I went to the Hard Rock in Vegas, and there they are. They're on the screen. I'm like, oh, they made it. That's awesome, man.
Wow.
And now Tony's just off the hook, a director and doing musicals and all kinds of stuff out there and for the movie land. I'm glad he's doing well.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you what Tony's up to. Wait, you friends with her brother? Gwen's brother?
Who, me?
Yeah, Jeff. Sorry.
Oh,
no,
Jeff. No, Long, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. No. I just been around a lot of different people, a lot of different bands, and I was working at Broadway at the time, and they always invited me. Never talked to Gwen. I didn't know who Gwen was. I always asked Tony the first time I worked there at Broadway in Anaheim, and I went up to him. I said, "Hey, who's that girl in the front?" I didn't know what nationality she was. She wore so much makeup, and she looked pretty cool. And man, I was poor. I used to, walk to Broadway all the time. And he's like, oh, that's my ex-girlfriend. And whatnot. And he used to have long hair at the time. And now I follow up with him. I don't talk to him at all, but I know he's doing a lot in Hollywood. I think he bought Heath Ledger's home a long time ago. I'm a realtor too, nurse by 30 years, but it was pretty cool running into him and seeing how well they're doing now too. I'm glad. They had a lot of problems with their management on the road and stuff. I wish I would have hung out with them. Things are different, I mean, there's a lot of band members I knew that hung out and were in bands too at the time. It was fun. Orange County I love it. It was the bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I went to the show you're talking about in Vegas at the Hard Rock, like Return to Saturn tour.
Yeah.
So John,
remember,
Rich is also from Orange County, but he lives in Texas now.
Yeah,
so,
I'm in Austin.
Yeah, and he's one of our moderators, or as I call them, moderators for the Global Fan Group.
Well, and Rob, I don't think I told you, I worked at the Music Plus during the World Relation Tour in Orange County. I worked there for a long time, but I remember I worked the Ticketmaster booth that morning when the tickets went on sale for the Dodger Stadium show for the World Violation Tour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was funny because I kicked out the first tickets that came out because you're not supposed to do that, but I did. So that's how I got like third or fourth row for that show. I still remember the first ones punching out, and we took them, we slid them over and moved them all to the side.
That's where my
awesome.
seats went.
Going there.
No wonder I was not so close on the floor.
Yeah. No, I still remember that. We were all jazzed. We had to all hold our enthusiasm because we were up in the booth, because the Ticketmaster booths were higher. It's like at a pharmacy inside the Music Plus store. I remember we took them and we're like, "Hey, go cool! We got like fourth row. It was awesome." Back when you said to line up for tickets.
Yeah.
Like
so
a couple
it's
$100.
Funny too, we talked about because John and I still haven't figured out who we knew each other from, or if it was just because we were always at the same events. But like Jeff, I know you from Steve because I know Steve because we were always at the same concerts and at Cloud9 and all the same places together. And that's how I know you guys is just because. So it may be the same case with John too, but we still haven't figured that out. Or if there's some mutual connection that we haven't figured out who it was. But
Post Nuclear.
Yeah.
And he went to Post Nuclear as well too. So
yeah,
that was a great club. And that building is still there, but I think it's like an office space or something, but I don't know what they use it for, but I wish they had a reunion there.
That's crazy. My daughter's an artist. She's a senior and she's off the hook artist. She does animation stuff. She's got an LCAT, so it's right down the street from there. So I get to go look at it. It's called The Muse. I get to go look at it all the time. It just brings back so many memories.
Oh, so you know what it is.
Decades.
Yeah.
Okay. I just drive by and always think, okay, I don't know what that is, but it looks like an office space or something. That's cool. Very cool.
We should rent it out. And get all the fans to go. That'd be so awesome, man.
That would be amazing.
Cool,
I think it was like 5-6 years ago or something. I don't know. Pandemic's thrown off time now. So, but there was a Cloud9 reunion, which was interesting. Knott's had just a one night Cloud9 reunion. So we went to that. That was pretty cool. Yeah. I wish
first one or the second one?
Nuclear. I didn't know there was another one. So it's the only one I know of, but it was like probably around 5 or 6 years ago, I think. Maybe it was a little longer.
The second one.
Huh. Either that or my time is just thrown off. I mean, it's crazy to think the pandemic was 3 years already. Alan? Did someone say Alan?
No. Just get everybody to drink.
Yeah.
Well, you just did.
Okay. I'm guilty. Oh,
well, it's
real
funny.
quick, I'm also going to bring on Ellie here. So, Ellie, you're on here still?
Ellie.
So, she's another one of our moderators for Global. So, have her say hi. Rich and Ellie are on here. You're on. If you can see.
Hi guys.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Can you hear you? Oh my goodness. I'm so happy to see you guys.
Say hi to John.
Hi John. Oh my God. I was listening to your podcast today and I really like it. It's really nice. I'm not really familiar with a lot of what sci-fi other than the most sci-fi I'll watch is like Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy it. I liked your approach to it. So I'm gonna be listening again. I'm gonna I'm gonna follow it.
Oh, thank you. I really do. I really do appreciate it. It's been this time around. It's been amazing meeting so many people and having. I mean, the podcast has really kind of turned into just a lot of reading feedback from people listening to it and being able to share their experiences. And I think it's almost been as enjoyable for me as I hope it is for people listening to it, just because I love hearing other people's stories. And so I've just been receiving so many stories from people around the world of their own, how they found Depeche Mode and their own experiences. It's been just an amazing couple of months.
I really enjoyed it. And even if you don't, how you say you don't play the music, you don't really need to, because it's Depeche in a different way. Like, I like it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Ellie. I wanted to bring you on just to say hello and thank you for
Thank you, guys.
all the moderation.
I'm so happy to see you.
Good to see you too. I'm going to bring Lauren. I don't know if Lauren wants to be on, but I'm going to bring him on because he has a question. So, Lauren, let me find you here. Oh, and then I want to get back to Matthew too. I had brought him on, but we didn't get to say hello to him. Lauren, are you able to get on camera at all or no?
Yeah, it should be starting. There it is.
Cool. There you are. So this is
John,
Lauren.
I was curious.
You're in Seattle, right?
Yes, I am. So, John, I was curious to know, as a podcaster, do you have media privileges? Are you granted access as a member of the media to concerts?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, my full-time job is with the radio station, but that is completely separate from everything I do on my podcasting. So my podcasting is all me. I have no media connections whatsoever. I did years ago when I worked in rock radio, but not anymore.
So okay. Are you working as a DJ now at a radio station or some other job at a radio station?
No, I'm a talk show host.
Oh, cool. Interesting.
I talk about it on the podcast, but I don't talk about it very often. Regular talk show hosts, sometimes get a bad rap. So I like people to know me through my Depeche Mode podcast. So
Jerry.
Yeah, I started. Yeah, right. I started doing. I worked for. So when I started off in radio. I started off in music radio. I went to the Academy of Radio Broadcasting in Huntington Beach. Right there on Beach Boulevard in the 405, the El Torito was. I think it's still located there, right? I think there used to be a club across the street. Now it's the Beppe de Bocos or whatever it's called. I always forget. Boco de Beppos or whatever. But there used to be a club I went to all the time across the street. I can't remember
Beach
what it was called. But I started off doing rock radio, music and afternoon shows. I worked on X 103.9 for a number of years in Riverside, San Bernardino, and did the morning show there. And then I transitioned over into news talk back in 2003. So that's what I do now.
Oh, wow.
I host a morning show here I host a morning show here in Minneapolis.
Very cool. Well, you definitely have a radio voice, so it's no surprise. But Lauren, did you want to say anything else, or you good?
Yeah, no, that's all I wanted to find out about. Thanks.
Oh, cool. Thanks. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, and thank you for joining us. I do appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
If anyone else wants to jump on, let me know, and I'll spotlight you on here. So just let me know if you have a question or just want to chat. I'm gonna see if I could bring on Matthew actually, so we can say hello. So this is the Matthew that is going to Denver show with you. Yes.
Yeah. Hey guys, can you hear me?
How's it going, Matthew?
Dude,
good. Hey,
what's
buddy? Amigo. That's right. So Rob, first of all, thank you for hosting this, and it's a pleasure to meet the community. I love seeing all the devotees out there. John and I have been corresponding for a long time, but we've never actually spoken to one another. So this is kind of fun. Hey, John.
Yeah.
Cool.
You got your dog, dude. That's awesome.
I'm sorry. He's if I set him down, he'll bark because he wants to eat, and he's on a diet, so I got to hold him because otherwise he'll drive everybody crazy. But anyway, yeah. So I live in Denver. Discovered Depeche Mode probably like most people on this, like in the mid '80s. Just fell in love with them. Seen them many times, like close to 50 times probably. I've seen them all around sorry. I'm so sorry, guys.
No worries. No worries.
We like dogs here.
Yeah, we like dogs. My dog's right over here too. Here, boy, come here, buddy.
His mom just left the house, so he's a little frazzled. anyway, yeah. So just a big fan, and have been listening to John's pod for many years, and so appreciative of everybody who keeps the Depeche Mode spirit alive and the community alive. So it's really, really cool to meet everybody.
That's awesome, and thank you. And I love that you guys have never had a chance to chat like this.
No,
it's funny because we've done something too where there's this really great Depeche Mode group, Depeche Mode Classic Photos and Videos. They document like every day of Depeche Mode's existence, like any kind of picture. If you wonder what it's from, they know where it's from, and they have like the full photo shoot or the videos. They're like my go-to source for anything I don't know. I will like ask them. Even we had Peter Kerr, who directed Shake the Disease and Stripped, and it's called The Heart Videos. We had him as a guest on a drinking chat, and he messaged me recently. He was like, I saw this video when I saw Depeche, and there was an eagle flying in the background, this video that Anton did, and I couldn't think of what that was. I thought there was this crow in a video, and I asked them, and they had the same response I did. So I thought, okay, I'm for sure correct. But I Googled his name, or not Googled, but searched his name in their group and showed him like the first results that came up and told him, this is how comprehensive they are, just so you know that they're saying the same thing I said. And I shared what they had on his name. And there was a video of him filming Shake the Disease that he had never seen himself before. So,
oh, wow.
That was pretty cool. But I mentioned that group because I had them on because they dispute the date that Depeche Mode says is the release date of Speak and Spell. And so we were discussing that. And the three of them had never met like the way you guys hadn't until we did the drinking chat with them. So I love like having this kind of thing, this interaction that hasn't happened before. This is really cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. This is nice because I was a little worried that we'd never meet before, John walks in the door before we go to the Depeche Mode show in November, and it's like, your first date kind of thing. So this is a nice icebreaker. Another fantastic resource, and I'm sure you guys are probably aware of it, but I wasn't until recently, was DM Wiki Live.
Oh, that's
website.
Amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. Like the number of bootlegs they've got up, they've got set lists, they've got photos of ticket stubs, all kinds of stuff. But and also just really nice people. So in 1990 on the World Violation Tour, I went to shows back to back at Red Rocks, super famous venue here in Denver.
Awesome.
And saw them both nights and got backstage with them. And I noticed on the wiki page, one, they had a bootleg of the show, which was super fun because I was there, and it brought me back 30 plus years ago. And but they had a mistake on the set list. The second night, Depeche Mode did not play Black Celebration, and I got backstage.
What?
Yeah. And I asked him why, because I was upset. It's my favorite song, and I'm like, why did you leave that off the set? You played it the night before, etc. Anyway, there was a funny story as to why they didn't. But I emailed the wiki guys when I noticed it, and immediately they made the change, and they asked if I had, did I grab the set list? Do I have my ticket stubs? Anyway, they're just a cool resource and super nice guys. So if you guys aren't familiar with it, I highly recommend checking it out. I believe
it's Matthew Wolf, is it?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's who emailed me back. I don't know.
And he's a member of Global in the Global Fan Group too, actually. So
okay.
Yeah, but he is. Yeah, that content is amazing. That's absolutely another go-to besides Depeche Mode Classic Photos and Videos. Those are the two top sources of information for sure. Any Depeche Mode fan.
Until your book comes out.
Yeah, there you go. And you know what? I'm definitely referencing a lot of DM Live Wiki and Depeche Mode Classic Photos and Videos for content too, because they are so comprehensive.
Well, it's funny too, because when I first started corresponding with Matt, we're kind of emailing back and forth, and you get to know people, but you're doing it via email, and you're trying to figure out nuances, and Matt knows what I'm talking about. But it's one of the things that's so amazing about Depeche Mode fans, at least in my opinion, is that you kind of fall into these certain avenues of the type of Depeche Mode music that we like, and the songs that we gravitate towards more. And Matt had this idea. He wanted to do this set list challenge where we put together these different set lists to see when they started the tour how close we would be to what the set list actually ended up being. So there was like, what we thought and Matt, I'm going to butcher your criteria on this, but there was one of them that was like one of the three that we did was our fantasy set list. And it cracked me up because we both ended up choosing out of all things the B-side My Joy from Songs of Faith and Devotion. And I was floored. I was like, I couldn't believe that of all the songs that, and again, I mean, there's so many songs to choose from that we would end up landing both on My Joy to put it on a fantasy set list. I never in a million years would I thought that would have happened. It cracked me up.
Was everybody sober to remember this stuff? Because some of the stuff I don't remember.
Some of my, one of the popular ones I would think B-side wise, I mean, obviously, but not tonight if they did a full band version.
Yeah.
But Sea of Sin pops up a lot, I think that Violator, not just the album, but even the B-sides, everything to that was like pretty much kind of the prime. But I mean, I guess so was the Devotion era, and My Joy probably has to be the standout from B-side from that era right there for sure.
Rob, I'd like to add Dangerous to that list too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Very, very good point. Actually, I kind of like Dangerous better than the A-side, but or maybe it's because I've heard it too much, the A-side, but
this is the kind of thing that I wonder how much Martin and Dave are aware of this. I've been really impressed with a lot of the interviews that have been done with them. Some of them not so much, but it's been nice this time around because they've seemed to have been way more accessible than they have on previous tours. And they've been asked questions they typically don't get asked. And it seems like Martin's opened up more so. And Dave too. But sure. I just wonder how much like this type of nuance of like the conversations we're having and talk about the B-sides and what the fans like. I wonder if they're aware of that at all, or if that's just completely disconnected from them. That would be something that I would love to ask them and pick their brain over, of how much are they aware of what the fandom is into, on a smaller scale like this.
No, yeah, that's a really good point. And another point you had mentioned was about the set list changing when it goes to Europe.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, the first night, opening night, I was a little disappointed. And part of my disappointment was, they really did, like if you substitute the 5 from Memento Mori for ones that they did on the Spirit tour, the Spirit new tracks, and you take away the rest, there was only 3 tracks that were not performed on the Spirit tour. So that was surprising that there wasn't more change, and I don't know if they're going to change more as they go to Europe. And that was just like, all right, this is just the first leg, a small amount of shows to get us back in form or whatever. Or if they truly think these are the songs we need to be playing. And I thought they would have songs like maybe like Behind the Wheel or Strange Love added to the set list this time. But I was surprised how it was so very similar to the last tour's set as far as the non-new tracks.
And there's
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, and there's no different versions, right? I mean, the versions, from what I've seen, I mean, for those that have been to the show already, from what I've seen, the variation of the songs that they have are the versions that they did on the last tour as well, right?
Well, the only problem, so there was only one that they changed, and unfortunately, I felt like it went the wrong way. They went with, instead of the studio version of In Your Room, they went to the Zephyr mix this time, which I love the studio version. The Zephyr mix is fine. It's all right, but the power is in the album version. I know it's longer and maybe a little starts off slower, but I just feel it's such a much more powerful version of the song that disappointed me too. I'm like, how did you go from that mix to that mix? But then, there's a younger fan I know, Liana, if you ever see this, she swears that the Zephyr mix is the better version. So we go back and forth, but she's like my daughter's age. So, so maybe it appeals better to the younger generation. I don't know.
I wanted to add that I recently saw an interview I saw on YouTube that I think it was, could have been Dave, could have been Martin, I can't remember, but they said that they do have different set lists for Europe and America, because America has a certain, wants or needs, and then Europe is the exact it's different for them. They want certain songs to be played. So I think there is going to be a different European set list.
I mean, it makes sense too in the standpoint that you're playing stadiums in Europe and like a whole general admission pit and on the floor instead of seating, and that leads to part of we had a whole, because there's an interview with Martin that's been posted in Global, but the way the guy posted it, instead of saying this is interesting, what Martin says about EU versus US audiences, he was like calling the US audiences something like retirement homes or something, and we're like, dude, you're just criticizing the whole US masses. You don't have to go about it that approach. This is a cool new interview that I hadn't seen. But anyway, it caused a little bit of an uproar in the Global group. But I feel like, yeah, it completely lends itself to a different experience if you have a general admission stadium of 60,000 people versus an arena with seated chairs of 15,000 to 17,000 people every night. You're not going to have the same response. But from being there, I mean, people are as passionate at those shows that are seated. I mean, there was nobody sitting by me, and I was not sitting. I'm dancing and singing my heart out the whole time, and everyone around me was as well. So I don't know, people can judge things from video, but if you're not there to experience it yourself, you can't really, I feel like you shouldn't even be commenting about that kind of thing. But
I think the perception from the video that he posted, the lighting, you can't really kind of see people moving or whatever. I don't think it was a really kind of a good perception just to say, look at it and say, it looks like everybody's dead and just standing there or sitting. Anyway, just my 2 cents.
But it is funny, the fact that he brought up the retirement community, and I mentioned that technically Dave and Martin have qualified for a senior citizen discount at Denny's for a long time now. So,
Well, they're only in their 60 years old. They're not 65. So,
well, Denny's was 55. Did they raise it?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know it was 55.
Yeah, it was 55.
AARP is 55.
Yeah,
and that's another thing I mentioned. A lot of the audience is AARP eligible, but I didn't feel like it seemed like a retirement community there.
Was that Martin interview you were referencing? Was that the interview that was done with a radio guy, or was it a different one?
Yeah, it was some weird name, like Jacko or I don't know. Do you guys remember what the name of that guy was?
Was he in his bedroom when he was being interviewed?
I'm not sure. I was thinking, how did this guy get hooked up with this interview? But
that's okay, the one I saw. Yeah, Martin was in his bedroom. The guy had a baseball cap on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lynch is his name. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. The guy was in a studio. I could tell by the guy that was interviewing was in a radio studio. So we saw the same one. Okay. I wasn't sure if Martin said it twice or if that was the same interview.
He did 2 interviews, 2 separate people while he was in his bedroom, because it was a media thing. So.
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah, I saw the other interview a long time ago, the other Zoom interview, but this one just broke, or I just first saw it this week.
For anybody like me who's jonesing for old school Depeche Mode on a set list, I've just resigned myself that it's never going to happen. I mean, I've been begging for it for 20 years, and not that I don't like their new stuff, but I don't like it nearly as much as Songs of Faith and Devotion and before, I guess Ultra and before. But I'm not big into tribute bands. I find them to be a little sad and a little bit creepy. But if you get a chance to see Strangelove, and if you guys who are in Southern California probably know of them.
Yeah.
It's a Depeche Mode tribute band and dream set list. I mean, it's close to what I put down on my fantasy set list, John. I mean, it's incredible what they'll play, including But Not Tonight, including Get the Balance Right. Always playing Shake the Disease. I mean, just amazing. They sound great. And they have the sort of the full video package from the World Violation Tour, et cetera. I mean, it's just, I took my daughter, and because it's as close as she'll ever get to seeing what I believe was like the greatest tours ever, Music for the Masses, Violator, Songs of Faith and Devotion, et cetera. I want her to experience what I experienced when I was her age. And that's as close as she'll ever get. we're bringing her to the show with John in Denver, and we were super stoked about it. Can't wait, but she's not going to see what I saw when I was her age and when I fell in love with them, especially with the set list back then. So that makes me sound like an old man, but I do want to give props to the Strange Love tribute band. If you guys get a chance, then check it out. They're good.
No, I agree. They're very pro, and there's also another devotional that they're also very pro, and Freddie's like a really great front man, and
he's incredible.
They do the same kind of set lists that people long for. Both those bands do. So they fill a need for sure, and I mean, especially more so when the band isn't touring, where there's the down years, and you're like jonesing to go see a live show, and if you can see Depeche Mode music, that's obviously much more better than anything else. So for all of us, that is. But yeah,
that's why I wonder. Because, and if anybody, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but they're making the bulk of their money off the tours now, right? I mean, isn't that where when we get cycle?
Cocaine Bear is where they're making their money.
Then there's that too. But that's why I wonder, like you have Metallica's going out and they're doing these special 2-night shows where they're not repeating any songs. And I mean, Depeche Mode's fan base obviously different than a fan base of Metallica, but I mean, we all know if they did that, I mean, they would sell out those shows. And again, that kind of takes me back to I wonder how aware of it, if they are aware that I have to imagine that the PR team around the band, management around the band, and the guys themselves know that if they did something like that, if they did like one night that is the tour they're doing now, they did a separate night, which is all songs they haven't done in 20 years or something like that, they would sell out that other night.
For sure.
I'm a little surprised that we haven't seen that yet. And I just wonder if there's a disconnect there where they don't think they can pull that off, or just logistically it's not possible. Metallica can do it, but
I just don't think they're wired that way. I mean, part of the reason I love Depeche Mode is because they just do their thing, and I love that. But it is frustrating, and it's very frustrating for me. Rob mentioned it, that basically this set list, at least on with the warm up leg, it's basically the same as the Spirit tour, except swapping out some new songs from Memento Mori, and so but they just do their own thing, and I get it. I think part of it has to do with now they've got the live band, and so certain songs and certain arrangements just fit better with a live drummer and and Peter, who are great musicians. But I mean, I was the guy who was like banging the table a long time saying, "Bring back the drum machine." Like, that's what I want, right? I mean, that's my
9-Inch Nails.
Right. I want a drum machine on stage. I want Alan back, and get off my lawn.
Said Alan. Man. Said Alan. That's a drinking word.
Yeah, there you go.
I think the impression that I get is that they're just doing the songs they want to do. Because if you look at the tour, the songs that they picked, they had to pick Dave's slow one and Martin's slow one. So I think they're at the point of their career where they're just saying, we're going to do the songs we want to do and screw really what the fans want. And, and we have to accept that, because that's the way that they're going to go on stage. Is if you want me to tour, Dave probably said to Martin that, we've got to do Wagging Tongue. It's a song that you and I wrote together, and I want to do my slow song, and that's the way it is. So we can't really complain. And I do think, to your point, Rob, that they did get a little bit lazy, right, with what they put together. I don't know if anybody went on the premium hospitality tour. I did, and it was fascinating, but it is really amazing how probably about 70% of the stuff is pre-programmed, and if they even want to change the set list slightly, it involves a lot of work.
Well,
it's just too much of a risk.
They're missing their music director, who was Alan. Alan was the one that did all that work.
That's a couple drinking times right there.
Yeah.
I need a refill.
Well, I know they feel pressured to do Personal Jesus and Never Let Me Down Again. Those are, just
and Enjoy the Silence has to be there too.
Yeah. That one.
Well,
but even
here's the way you could look at it, though.
We're kind of sick of that, right?
Here's another counterpoint. A counterpoint to that, though. I was lucky enough to be at all 4 Hollywood Bowl shows on the Spirit tour. I guarantee you, if you look back at their history, There's never been 4 nights in a row that they changed the set list more than they did during those 4 nights in LA. And I think that's going to happen again this December in Southern California. I feel like they're going to change the set list over those 4 nights. And I don't know if it'll be as dramatically as they did at the Hollywood Bowl, but I mean, those were some of the most incredible shows. And I've been seeing them since the Black Celebration tour. Those are some of the most incredible shows, like, because of the changes. Like, that's what I want. I want to hear changes. I want a different set list, you know.
Well, they better add before we drown on the second leg. That's all I'm saying. I
was disappointed. Here's a one of those takes that people like, but I was disappointed in the Rose Bowl set list because I seen almost the identical set list in December of '87 at the Forum, and they had said this is going to be such a special show. You know, they pumped it all up, and it's like, you just added "Just Can't Get Enough." That's all you did, and I don't even want to hear that song. So what? You know,
exactly the same thing.
Oh,
now it's just Martin and Dave. So if you ever seen Martin just sing by himself when he did his own thing and Dave did his own thing, like, how was that? Like, right now, that's what I think. I think it's just Martin and Dave, and then Helen.
Actually,
I was going to say, Rob, that they'll have to change it by December when they come to LA because they'll be tired of the set list they've done all year. So of course,
and also, I don't know if many of you caught this, but there's a charity auction that's already blown up like crazy for a meet and greet, but it states the meet and greet is good from May 11th through April 7th of 2024. So they're for sure touring at least until April 7th of 2024. And where Diane, what time is it over there? You got to turn on your audio here. She's in Perth, Australia, by the way, for those of you who didn't hear earlier, but thank you for staying with us all this time. It started at 3 a.m. your time, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's 4:28 here now, Rob.
Oh, wow.
I'm still here. I'm still awake.
You're a hero.
Yeah,
Cheers.
I'm loving this chat. It is so good. Yeah, I saw that too when you posted that on, and we're so crossing our fingers that they're going to come over to Australia. I'm doubtful that they're going to hit Perth because Perth is such a small place. There's only a couple of million people here, so I don't think we're going to get much happening in Perth. But I reckon they'll probably do Sydney and Melbourne, and I'll fly out there. It's still a 3-4 hour flight for me, but we'll go out there and get tickets and go and see them there. So yeah, super excited to see it. But yeah, I mean, they've not been to Australia since 1994. So at the time when they launched the tickets last year, I wasn't hopeful at all that would come to Australia, hence why I've got the tickets for Berlin. But you know, I wanted to go and experience it out there as well. My question to you guys was actually along those lines, that, you know, they're playing 2 nights in Berlin. They're doing the Friday the 7th and Sunday the 9th. Yeah, and then we're going to party it up at the International Global Fans Party on the Saturday night in Hansa Studios, which is super exciting. I'm very, very excited about that. I don't know if you've got tickets for that, Rob, or not.
I do.
Excellent. Okay, we'll be there. But yeah, but what I'm interested in is if they're going to change the set list up over those 2 nights in Berlin. I suspect they are. Just going off the fact that they've changed the supports, they've got different supports on 2 nights. So yeah, I'm thinking they might change it up a little bit on the 2 nights because they're going to have some hardcore fans, I reckon, going 2 nights, and I reckon they'll change it up a little bit. I don't think they'll do it as subtly as just changing waiting for the night of condemnation, although, you know, it would be nice to see both of those on 2 different nights. But I reckon they're gonna change it up a bit. I'd also like them to see them drop Everything Counts. Not Everything Counts, sorry. Just can't get enough. I'm over it.
Yeah.
I'm over it. You know, like, I was 11 years old when it came out, and like, the reason I'm over it is because it's the only song that people who don't really know Depeche Mode know, if you know what I mean. Like the general public out there. Like, yeah, anyway, I've got a little bit of a snippet for John just while I'm on audio. Hi, John. I go to a few quizzes, and there's one that I go to once a month, which is like it's a band that plays on stage, and then they ask musical questions afterwards. And the last one I went to last month was an 80s one. And they actually played Depeche Mode. I got super excited, but they played Just Can't Get Enough. And I was like, yeah, of course they will. Right. And the question they asked, and I'm sat there getting really sort of like the ego was going, I can't get this one wrong, right? And they're going like, they said, oh, what, that was Depeche Mode. What is the translation of what Depeche Mode means? And I'm going, it's fast fashion, which is what John used in his podcast a couple of podcasts ago. And I'm going, yeah, I know this. It's fast fashion because that's what the band said in interviews in the early 1980s. And now apparently the literal meaning is fashion news, if you look it up in French.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what these, and we didn't get the point. And I was so miffed. I was so fed up. I was like, we should have got that point. Because
you should have got that. Yeah, you should have got that.
We should have got that point because the diehard Depeche Mode fans know that's what it should have been, you know, because the band said so.
It's in 101. It's in 101.
Fast fashion or hurry up fashion. Yeah, same.
I know. So yeah, I might have to have a chat with these guys who do the quiz because clearly they haven't researched it enough. But anyway, so what do you think they'll change the set list up in Berlin on the 2 different nights?
My thoughts are, and this is what I thought for Hollywood Bowl, how I said they had the 4 consecutive nights. I thought that night 1 would be the regular tour set list. And I was absolutely correct. I didn't buy night 1 tickets until the day of, when I ended up pulling 7th row for like $200 a ticket. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go. I might as well, since I'm already going the other 3 nights. But I was right. And they played the regular set list. But the next 3 nights, they changed it up dramatically. The Berlin night 2, I already have tickets for Berlin night 2. I don't have Berlin night 1 yet, but I probably will get Berlin. I mean, if I'm going to be there, I might as well. I already have the after party tickets for. There's also a party at Hansa after night 1 where the guy from Camouflage, Marcus Mine, is DJing. So I'm going to be at Hansa on the 7th and the 8th, and then I have tickets for the 9th.
Yeah.
But
and I'm the same as you. Sorry to interrupt, Rob. Yeah, I'm the same as you. I've got tickets for the 9th, and I'm looking for tickets for the 7th at the moment. But they're pretty expensive on resale at the moment. But I'm going to get them. But I'm just waiting for the right tickets to come up. I'm hoping
that's what you got to do. Wait for the right tickets. I'm sure they'll release.
Yeah.
Which that's what I'm planning. As long as they release, like if I'm going to buy tickets, I'm obviously want to be in that golden or FOS 1, whatever.
FOS 1. That's what I'm looking at the moment. I want FOS 1 because we're seated in this on the Sunday night. We've got hot seat tickets, so we're going to get the merch and stuff.
Oh,
but,
cool.
But I'd really like to do FO front of stage 1. So yeah, that's what I'm really hoping for. But I'm hanging out for the tickets. We've got another couple of months to go yet, but I'm hoping to get there on the 7th as well. But interesting about the one on the Friday night as well. I've got we connected through your group on Facebook. There's 5 of us here in Perth, and we met up about 2 weeks ago.
Awesome.
And so there's another girl called Emma here in Perth.
Yes, Emma, I know her. Yes.
Yeah, and I went and met up. So I'm in touch with Emma now, and we're all going over. She's coming over to Berlin as well. So yeah.
Awesome. I love it. I love that. Yes.
I know it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're sort of in touch with each other saying, oh, where are you going? And we're going to meet up and go and do some stuff in Berlin as well. And yeah, she was hoping to say hello to you too. So yeah, that would be good. So anyway, yeah, cool.
You have been, I think, the first to make it on a drink and chat because our times are always so terrible for Australia. I usually, and I've told Emma and that I've wanted to try to do one that was more time friendly for Australia at some point, but usually we do them like so it's time friendly for EU. Like so when it started today, it's like 8 o'clock in UK and 9 o'clock in most of Europe, and but yeah, we need to do something at some point for Australia. You know, that's awesome that you guys all met up like that, and I don't. I hope you took some pictures. I didn't see them in global, but if you did, please post them. And
we actually didn't. We didn't, but we're going to do another meetup before we go out to Berlin. There's another guy who's in our little group, and he's going out to Eastern Europe. He's doing about 5 shows in Eastern Europe. His brother was also a massive Depeche Mode fan, and sadly he passed away, but he said he's doing it for his brother as well, and he's going to go and do 5 Eastern Europe tours, which is shows, which is really exciting. But I mentioned to Emma about this tonight, and she said, oh, I would love to, but I really need my sleep, so you'll represent us for Perth, Australia. And I said, yes, okay. So big shout out to Emma if she watches the playback on.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. I
right,
also,
thanks.
I don't know, so I guess it's like the opposite coast from you guys, where in Australia, in Perth, but there's also a member, Tamsin. She came down and she got to see her first Depeche Mode show ever at the Forum this recently. So I got to meet up with her before the show. She met up. It's terrible. The Forum is in an area where there's nothing around there. So I didn't host a party like I did in Sacramento because there's just nowhere to go. But I did tell a few people, all right, well, we're gonna go have some drinks and some food across the street at a Sizzler. So there was some people that like reached out to me, like there was I think Emma or Ellie from England, and Tamsin, and then some of my friends that we all met up at Sizzler, and Dell and Stephanie from Seattle, and so it was cool to actually get to meet Tamsin. I'm going to show you this real quick. I'm going to share this just so you guys see. A couple years back, I did a video where, since this is a global group, I had members across the world saying Happy New Year. When it was midnight in their time zone, I would post their videos. So like it kept going like all across the world all night long. And this is where it started, was in Australia with Tamsin. So I'm going to share this real quick with you. Let's see if I can find the sharing button here. Oh, here we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Hello to my Mode family. Happy New Year, all the way from sunny Australia. Somehow I think my midnight's going to arrive before all of yours, so I hope you have a wonderful and safe 2022, and let's, fingers crossed, hope we get to see the boys real soon. Happy New Year, everyone.
G'day and Happy New Year to all the devotees at the Depeche Mode Global Fan Group. Thank you very much to Rob for everything you do and all the people that are helping you out. Big g'day and thanks to Vaughan George. Vaughan's great songs for a wonderful album coming up. And all the best to you, mate. Love your work. And it's 36 degrees here, or 96.8 Fahrenheit. So she's a pretty hot one. And hope it's a hot 22. Yeah, okay. Catch you later. On ya.
So that was
that is very cool. That
for
is very
that
cool.
time
And those
zone.
guys are, yeah.
They started it off, and yeah, it was cool because that was December 31st, 2021, and then this year I got to meet Tamsin in person for the first time. So that footage is so beautiful too, right there with the background in Australia right there. It was amazing.
Yeah. So they're out on they're in Victoria, which is just, if people are not sure where Victoria is, it's got Melbourne. Melbourne's the
okay.
main city in there. So yeah, it is out on the east coast. My partner's from Melbourne actually, but yeah, he moved over to Perth. So yeah, that's why I'm hoping to come to Australia so that I can go with him to some of the shows. Because when I met him, he put on his dating profile things that you can't live without, and he said all the stars are shining bright, the quote from
Never Let Me
You
Down
know,
Again.
Never Let
the
Me Down.
the famous song that we all
Yeah, Never Let Me Down Again.
Of course, absolutely. He put that quote on his dating profile, and I went, oh, that's interesting. And 6 years later, we're still together. So
Awesome.
I'm really hoping that they come out to Australia. But anyway, yeah. Meanwhile, I'm going with my daughter to Europe. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if there's been any more confirmations of any dates for Australia. I've not seen them yet, but I'm hopeful because of that extension that you found on that website with the auction. So yeah, we're just waiting for them to announce something.
I'm really hoping they go to Australia. You guys deserve to see them, and I'm actually thinking, I might want to go to Australia. If I had never planned to go to New York. I was just practicing for the West Coast on sale. I just wanted to see how tickets were going and everything. But then I pulled up 6-row seats on the floor at Madison Square Garden, and they weren't the platinum. They were the VIP package, which is way cheaper than the platinum. And I'm like, I cannot not buy these. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to New York.
Exactly.
I'm glad I did.
I'm glad you did.
Thank you, Jackie. It was an amazing. The word I can always say about that trip, it was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, if they do Australia, come out, Rob. Honestly, we'll have a party out in Australia.
More than a party.
We've got such lovely beaches. We've got the most amazing beaches here, especially in Perth. But I don't think they're going to come to Perth. I think it's too small.
Only thing I hate sharks. I
was going to say stay out of the water.
No sharks.
Actually,
no sharks.
I'm in awe of sharks, but I don't want to see a shark.
Except the red sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a few out here at the moment. Unfortunately, we've got a bit of a spate of them, and unfortunately, a few people have succumbed to the sharks recently.
Ooh,
but they are beautiful creatures. At the end of the day, they're in their own territory, and they've got every right to be out there, So yeah, it's just one of those unfortunate things. But yeah, it's just one of the things of Australia.
Too many Jaws movies. Jaws movies ruined it for us.
That's the thing. Yeah, we were kids, like with Star Wars and Jaws, the same, on the same time. But Jaws is one of those where you're like, oh man, I don't want to go surfing anymore.
Yeah, but as crazy as it is with the Jaws movies, that's what actually happens here. You don't probably see the news that much over there, but yeah, it's on the news. It's like, oh, someone else got taken by a shark. Okay, and it's, oh, that's sad, but it happens, and there's a place called Gracetown, which is in Western Australia. There's been a few people taken down there, so. But it's the risk you take when you get in the water, but it is fairly rare, compared to the number of people that you've got here. It's a small risk. It's a really small risk.
I'll never win the lottery, but I guarantee I'll get bit by a shark, so I'm good.
Well, if I got bit by a shark, I would, if I survived, it'd be cool if you have a little like scar or something, but that's like kind of a
Oh yeah,
I don't want to get bit by a shark.
Oh God, yeah. But poor Steve Irwin didn't come off too well with the stingray. Bless him.
Oh.
But yeah, Steve Irwin. Yeah, I've been.
You know what? I wrote an email to him in back like when the internet email stuff was first, because I got fascinated with that show. They sent him and his wife sent me a signed postcard, and I was like, this was way before they kind of blew up so much, but like. I had just like binge watched a bunch of their shows, and before the binge watching was really kind of a normal thing, I guess. But so I was really sad of his passing. I mean, super cool guy.
Really sad. Yeah, he was a super cool guy. Just one more question, just while I'm on. I've read that, I don't know if I've got this right. Does Martin Gore show up at some of the after parties? Have I got that right? Has he been known to ever show up at the after parties?
He shows up at the meet and greets afterwards.
Right. But not the after
which
parties. Dave
usually does not. But so if you get meet and greet passes, you usually will have a chance to meet Martin. But and Fletcher always would too, but Dave is rarely there. Sometimes he will be, but it's rare. Martin used to go party quite a bit. Like, I mean, he was known for his partying. Here's a story you don't know, John, but I ran into Martin at a David Bowie concert in 2004. He actually bought me a beer at the concert, and Bowie was performing still, and him and I are drinking beer, talking for like 20 minutes in the lobby. I'm like, I love Bowie, and I mean, I've seen Bowie 4 times, but I love Bowie, but I'm like, I'm not leaving Martin Gore if I can stay with him. Like, so we were talking about all kinds of stuff. It was amazing. But
wow,
yeah. But he had got there way early to party, and he was so excited, so giddy to go backstage to hang with Bowie, like we would be to go backstage for Depeche Mode.
Wow, I can't even imagine.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was an epic. And the funny thing is, it was raining on the way to the show, and I was joking around saying, "Oh, it's raining. Maybe Martin Gore is going to be here," because it seemed like it was always raining. I don't know if you remember in '87, the December show at the Forum, the first night, it was just pouring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, absolutely. No, and I felt the same way with the two shows going into the Rose Bowl show. And I'm shocked that I even remember that. When I go back, like I have a 16 and 20-year-old, right? And I go back and I think that I was 15 years old and drinking tequila in the parking lot of that show at the Rose Bowl at 15. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I go with my sons, I kind of go, and I give you guys a hard time for anything. And I was doing that back then, but it's always that it was a much different time
when
back then.
When people were leaving, I was jumping in all the girls' cars, just jumping in the window. It's fun. Had a good time.
Hey, it's sprinkled at the Rose Bowl too.
Oh yeah.
At the Rose Bowl, it was 2 days after I graduated high school. I was 17 at the time.
Me too.
And so I was drinking champagne in the parking lot before I don't know why I'm guessing that was the only alcohol we could get at that particular moment or whatever.
There was no wine coolers?
No, but we would usually drink wine coolers or Strawberry Hill, which was horrible.
Yep.
We drank it all the time. Like Jeff and I we called it Boonesberry, but
it was cheap.
Yeah, it was like $2 a bottle, basically. California Cooler was great too. That you could get the 2-liter bottles of California Cooler, but I don't know, for some reason we had champagne, and the funny thing is I remember giving the rest of it, my last bottle of champagne, to this guy I went to school with, Chris Higgins, who you were talking about, like No Doubt earlier. Well, he was like the 5th Beatle in the Offspring. He was like their roadie, but he ended up like doing like guitar on stage for them and doing backing vocals. Like when they did the Batman soundtrack, he was backing vocals on there. And
cool.
So I specifically remember him, giving him the rest of that. And he was a huge Depeche Mode fan in high school. And it's funny because, as I say, he was the 5th Beatle in the Offspring. He ended up doing like drum triggers on stage with like a baby doll head and a skull and different things. And I'm like, he got that from Depeche Mode, where they were using the pipes and the things on the Separate Reward tour. So like he would sample, like, where it's like Gleber, Glabber, Globber, Globen. He would play that on these little drum triggers. And I'm like, he totally got that from Depeche Mode, which is cool. Like, but that's not an obvious connection for most people.
I wanted to publicly announce or thank Rob for my North Park beer.
Yeah, he picked one up last night.
And it's sealed, and it always will be sealed, because I don't think I'll ever drink it.
Should I drink one right now?
Only if you say the magic word.
Oh, I'll just drink a regular beer. If nobody wants me to drink a Memento Mori, I'm okay with that. I feel like there was a silent hush. Everyone's like, keep it sealed, keep it sealed.
I like the way you roll, Rob. I'd say drink it. Do it.
All right. And Matthew, by the way, you do not look old enough to have been at those shows back in the 80s, but so you're living a good life, brother.
Yeah, I wish I could say it's clean living. It's definitely not.
All right, so I'm going to crack it open.
Is that a
like what kind of beer is it?
It's an IPA. So I've been rolling a little lighter earlier because I have a 50th birthday party for my buddy at 5:00 today. So I don't want to be all, hey, what's the
saving it?
I'll join you, Rob, with that.
All right, so here's Memento Mori. In my Hard Rock, New York pint glass that I just got.
Where'd you get those at?
At the Hard Rock Cafe in New York. Oh, you mean the beer?
Oh, I mean the yeah.
North Park Beer in San Diego, but they don't make them anymore.
Super cool. I gotta say that.
That'd be funny. That'd be funny if later on they're $10,000 each.
Well, I've already been selling. I just sold like 2 4-packs to some local people here that I just sold them for what I paid. I'm not gonna flip them for prices or whatever. But
we'll talk about this when we're 90 years old. We'll see how much they are now.
So my buddy Joe, who was on here earlier, I don't know if he's still on here. I don't think. Oh, there you go, Christian. Yeah, you got that. So you're drinking one right now. Oh, sweet. So Christian's in San Diego actually, and the day
2 blocks away from it, from North Park Brewery.
The day I went down there, unfortunately, he was at a different brewery than I was. There's 2, and I was hoping to meet up with you because we've hung out on drinking chats, but we've never met in person. Really.
Yeah, I was pretty busy that day actually. I was able to get there early just to get the beer because I knew later on.
This is what it looks like. So, by request from Matthew, and cheers to our special guest John for joining us today. Hope you're having a good time with this, John.
Yeah, I need to refill. I haven't wandered over to refill my drink yet, but
go for it. Go ahead.
I'll wander off for a second. Gives me wander around my room.
Yeah, so I'm not normally an IPA. I mean, I'll drink IPAs every now and then, but they're just kind of a little heavier than I normally drink. But
hey, Rob.
Yeah. What's up, Danny?
I've got a discussion topic for Matt and John if they're both available for a quick.
Yeah, John just went to grab a drink, but as soon as he gets back, for sure.
Okay, something they talked about on this podcast.
Oh, cool.
I think that's totally boss of you guys to be drinking that DM beer, like to actually open it and drink it. That's amazing.
Oh, fridge full.
Wait, why do I feel like in the future that the Depeche Mode beer is going to appear on an episode of I'm Rick Harris and this is my pawn shop?
Hey, I want to say a quick shout out to Carol, who is on here. Carol, you there?
That's a no.
I think he's there, but he's trying to turn the audio on. Well, if it's too hard, don't worry about it. But I just want to say hello. So cheers to you. Thanks for joining us. He always posts a lot of good content. I don't know if you ever see, he has all these cassettes, which is a cool collection, and always announcing like the different anniversaries of the dates. And so cheers.
Cheers.
Rob, while we wait for John, can you tell us the pick story that happened at the garden?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So Madison Square Garden. I missed the pick that Martin Gore threw to me in LA in the front row.
Yeah, I saw you almost fall all the way down on your head.
I jumped down there trying to pounce on wherever the pick was because I knew someone else would snag it, but I didn't find it. Unfortunately, I was bummed, which I ended up with Martin's set list, which is still cool, but not as cool as a pick, right? But
what was it? A guitar pick or Morrissey's shirt?
A guitar pick. I would rather have a guitar pick from Martin Gore than Morrissey's shirt. So, anyway, I was initially in the 6th row, and then halfway through the show, they moved us to 4th row, and then at the last song, people left in the front row. So I'm like, boom, I'm moving right up there, and so at the end, Martin, when he's gonna throw a pick, I'm like, tell him to like throw it down in the pit over by me so it didn't go behind me. And he tried to throw the first pick, landed by the monitor on the stage. and the security won't let me get it. So he went and got another pick and tried to do it again. And the same thing, it happened by the monitor. And the third time, Peter ends up, like, they're about to go do the hug where they like bow and everything. And this is great because there's video that Crystal captured. They're about to do their bow, and Peter came over and handed him a pick. And so he leaves the bow to come throw me another pick. And he throws it, and it lands in the palm. I had my hand like this. It landed in the palm of my hand. I couldn't even believe I caught a pick in the palm of my hand. And I closed it like this. I'm like, yeah. And it was so funny, too, in the video. You see Dave Gaughan's like, yeah, like this. And I was like, oh, my gosh. And this is the pick. And I will tell you this, that I haven't shared anywhere else, that the back of the pick is Andy Fletcher's favorite saying. And if you look at the vinyl etching on the back of Memento Mori, it's the same slogan in Latin. So I forget exactly what the meaning is, but look at your Memento Mori vinyl, and it's that same exact Latin phrase. And that was Fletcher's favorite saying.
Has everybody seen that video that Rob's talking about where he catches the pick?
Yeah.
That was epic.
I was astounded that Martin left the group and came over to the side of the stage and threw that to Rob. I was like, no fucking way.
I couldn't believe that he threw me 3 times at Madison Square Garden.
That's so great.
I'm not surprised.
It was caught on video.
Yeah, I was thankful that was caught on video, because I mean,
amazing.
That was just epic. And it was funny because on my Instagram, someone's like, well, apparently people like to throw things at you, like, because I had just got Mike Trout, one of the best baseball players, threw me a ball like that same week. And then Martin Gore throws me a pick, and I'm like, cool, keep it coming, because I'm happy to.
Fan appreciation. I love that.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the things where I feel like, obviously we love the band, and I love that they love us back like that, things like that. Like, it's awesome. Like, you can't ever, nothing can replace that feeling that I had. Like, that was just,
it's warm,
incredible. Like the whole trip, incredible.
Love it.
Martin's sober. He looks over at Rob. He's like, God, this guy's still here at every concert. I'm just gonna pick something. Here, bro, get out of here.
I love it.
And I did end up with Martin's set list from New York.
That's awesome.
You know what? I don't believe you. Can you mail that to me and I'll verify it?
I love that they brought back Sister of Night. That was really cool.
Well, they had never performed it with Dave on lead vocals until this tour.
Oh,
so Martin had done it before. And that's another point where I forgot to mention earlier. When they were talking about Sun in the Rainfall, I even thought, okay, that could even be a Martin acoustic song. I could see that working as a Martin acoustic song. That would actually be pretty cool. But
yeah, and I agree. Like, I'm complaining about the set list, but these are minor nits, right? I'm just psyched that they're touring again, and just want to celebrate with them. So
absolutely,
I think we all feel that way, right? These are
absolutely. I'll drink to
and
that.
like what you said at the beginning, Rob, after I joined, which is just at some point you just got to let go and just embrace the moment and enjoy whatever they're playing. It's a win no matter what, right?
Lucky Dave's alive.
When you guys went to the first opening show, did you know all the songs, or were you surprised?
It was a complete surprise for me.
Okay, wonderful. I love that.
I mean, basically, this is how I see it. So when Dave stopped saying Sister of Night, like back on the Spirit tour, this was like, Mon, I can't do this, you do it. But now that they're on the Memento Mori tour, move, Mon, I'm singing this one.
Maybe that was the case. So Danny has a question for both Matt and John, but first I think Joey just joined. If he's on, Joey, are you able to join us or no?
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah.
I'm hey, Joey. Yeah, Joey, awesome that you're joining us. I was thinking, because I saw Joey Perez join too. I was thinking it was because Joey Perez is his 50th birthday, but awesome to see you, Joey, too. I didn't see you.
Yeah, I joined late because I had a local community thing to attend to, but figured I'd sit in and see what the haps was.
Cheers. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you, man.
Yep.
Been a while.
Yeah. And we may need to talk a little later about seeing the Angels at Petco later this summer.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
that's a separate. Yeah. Okay.
I'm in.
And-
I'm in. Okay, Danny, what you had a question for Matthew and John?
Yeah, so I think it was Matthew who made this comment. John spoke about it on his podcast, and I think this is the perfect audience for this conversation. So Matthew, if I'm not mistaken, I think your suggestion was maybe it's time for Personal Jesus to be removed from the set list.
That was me. Don't shoot me. That was
I'm
me.
with you. I'm with you.
I think I said this may sound like sacrilege, but yeah, R.I.P. Personal Jesus, please.
I think Martin.
Go ahead.
I think Martin said that in an interview. I think it was K-Rock interview, maybe that he didn't want to.
No, you're kind of twisting it here. So they gave him the ultimatum. They said, okay, if you have to remove "Enjoy the Silence" or "Personal Jesus" from the set list, which one are you going to pull? And Martin's like, in a real world, that's not going to happen. But Martin said if he had to pick one, he would remove "Personal Jesus," and Dave did the opposite. He would remove "Enjoy the Silence." Yeah. But like they were not even hinting at the fact that they would even be close to remove it. But here's another way I would love to do it. I would love them to do the acoustic version, just Martin with an acoustic guitar and Dave right there. That would be phenomenal. Then I'd be like, hell yeah, this is cool. Like,
well, what was the circumstances? Because they released it acoustic before, and that was Personal Jesus. Let's go back to it. Personal Jesus. What were the circumstances that the acoustic version, was it just that K-Rock had gotten the acoustic version first and that was what they played first before the fully produced version?
K-Rock got it first, and it was just to kind of promote the song itself, like way in advance before the song was ready to go.
Right.
And based on that version, I was surprised what the ultimate final release was actually.
Yeah.
Like I expected a way different direction than where it went, but I loved the acoustic version. I mean, I enjoyed the song when it came out, but it's definitely not my favorite single or anything, and it's not one that I feel has to be a staple in their playlist. I feel like that and I Feel You could go away and that would not be an issue. Like, I feel like Never Let Me Down Again, Enjoy the Silence, those have to be in the set list. But Personal Jesus and I Feel You, those could go away. I mean, I get it that they're rocking songs and it makes a live environment, but
should be replaced by Behind the Wheel, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love that. Yeah. Oh, and Joey Perez is on, so I want to say a quick hello. Happy 50th. Today is his 50th birthday, so happy 50th,
birthday.
Joey.
Cheers. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. How wonderful.
Yeah, my other buddy has a 50th birthday tonight too, Joey. So I'm heading to that tonight too.
Nice.
Oh, I like your shirt too. Nice.
Cool. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Big props.
Throwing,
Happy birthday.
some birthday cakes on the chat. If you go to the chat, there's some birthday
Happy
cakes lined up.
birthday.
So Rob, just because we were talking about it earlier, I had it'd been a while, but I had a couple of boxes of all my Depeche Mode collectibles because there was a moment in time right around when Songs of Faith and Devotion came out where every single magazine, article, newspaper, anything I can get my hands on, I kept it, and I still have all of it. Anyway, I figured you'd appreciate this. So this was the in-store tour poster. It's worse for wear, but for World Violation. And then I actually have both the concert tickets too. I kept it with it, so I figured you get a kick out of that. These ones haven't faded either. A lot of my other ones are all faded, but I kept these ones together. But I wish I'd kept this in better shape. This actually hung in the store.
That looks in great shape. I have the newspaper article of that, like the ad that was in LA Weekly or something.
Yeah.
But yours is in color, so mine's in black and white. And
I need to get it back under a frame.
I think mine was from the first show only. Like yours already, the first show already happened, right? So it's sold out for the first.
It's got it's sold because it's got both dates on the bottom, but it does say sold out for the first one.
Yeah, that's super cool. I would frame that completely.
Prize is not framed.
I had it in a frame for a long time, and as we moved around, things got shuffled because I ended up finding a ton of. I put them up. I think there's videos of them up on my YouTube page. If I'm not mistaken, but I found a bunch of the in-store flats, and I've got a ton, and they're in perfect shape for both Violator and Songs of Faith and Devotion. And then I have one for electronic that's actually signed by Johnny Marr. And I forgot I even had it. I don't even remember when they got it signed and when I met him. As a matter of fact, hold on, you guys keep talking. I'll find it. You'll take.
I think there's a promo event that you might have went to.
That had to be what it was.
To post that for Mode Memorabilia Monday.
So
that guy's a legend, man.
To that point about the tickets, obviously I have all my tickets from when I started, but now you can rarely get tickets. But I do have one ticket from opening night of this tour. But I even went to the box office at the Forum. They wouldn't give me a ticket. The only way you could get tickets is if like the artist gives you tickets. That's the only, that's cool.
Yeah, there you go.
Super dope. Are you kidding me? Is that
Yeah.
Johnny Marr?
Yeah,
that looks like Bernard Sumner.
Yeah, it is. I got them both on here.
Oh,
I
where's
forgot I had
Johnny?
it. No, he's here. And then
How were they live?
But I was bummed they put an H in my name because it's Jon, but that was the only thing.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, this is in perfect shape.
Hey, Rob, you can't act. I don't remember seeing this, but you can't purchase the paper tickets when you buy the tickets because
No, you can't.
I got the paper ticket
No.
for Echo and the Bunnymen just past October.
That was AXS.
That was them. Yeah.
So I saw an
What
option.
a
You
great
can
group.
buy a commemorative ticket now when you're purchasing tickets.
No,
I think
very rarely now.
I had an option, and I think it was AXS that I could have got.
AXS is the only ones that do it, I think.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Ticketmaster. No, I didn't see that.
Ticketmaster was doing it for a little while. Oh, those are great promo flats. The 101,
Yeah.
nice.
So then when
I forgot I had all these.
when I went to Kraftwerk, and when I bought it was Ticketmaster that I paid it like a couple dollars extra, and then when I went through the line, they pulled me aside and gave me a ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned about going to Red Rocks earlier, Matthew. I finally got to go first time last year. I saw Nine Inch Nails at Red Rocks. I had like fourth row at my first time ever there. Phenomenal.
That's the way to go right there. Oh my God.
They had an option for commemorative tickets, but it was like, I'll show you my ticket. Hold on.
I was thinking about giving some of these away on the podcast, but then I'm like, I don't know if I can part with them.
This is the commemorative ticket right there, but it didn't really feel like a ticket much. Obviously, other things that I put in there with the ticket, but I put the guitar picks I got from Red Rocks, and I got one in Santa Barbara too. But I put those in there with it, and a very small remnant of the set list from Red Rocks. The tech tried to pull it up and just ripped off a strip.
Did you like it, Ron?
But I'm stupid. I'll keep that stuff.
He's like, here you go, buddy.
Yeah. I kept it. I'm like, whatever.
That's so messed
It's
up.
still a little piece of history. So, John, you said about Nine Inch Nails earlier.
Yeah.
So what you must have saw them early on too, right?
Yeah.
I first saw them in like May of '90 at Helter Skelter in LA. Were you at one of those shows?
No, I didn't see them live until I don't think I saw any of the Pretty Hate Machine shows.
Oh man.
I don't believe I did. I met Trent at what was the show? What was the? It was like a cable access.
Oh, Request Video.
Yeah.
I was there too. Yeah. I got my
okay,
picture.
so there's one.
Yeah.
I've got a signature. I forgot what it's on. It's in my it's in one of my, I won't pull the photo album out, but I have it in a photo album. So that must have been one. At least there's one place we knew we were at. Yeah, I remember he was there that night. And I watched that video recently, I think on YouTube. I think somebody had posted that interview
with Gia interviewing him and
yeah. So there we go. Now we're getting closer. Rob and I still can't figure out.
That was 92 though. So
yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple autographs that show. That was cool. And they pulled up in a van and just walked in from the front entrance.
Yeah. That's funny. No, but I went to a bunch of the Downward Spiral shows. I mean, if not all the ones that they did. And I think they did one at the Palace, right?
Yeah, we were there. Yeah, we were at the Palace.
Yeah.
And Jeff, you went to the secret show too, right? With me?
Secret show for 9?
After the day after Downward Spiral was released, they played Helter Skelter, a secret show.
Oh, I didn't. No, I don't remember going.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you went, but yeah, it was like 300 people, like the day after the album was released, Downward Spiral. That was epic. Like, lined up all day for that, but it was worth getting into that.
And where was Helter Skelter at again?
So, ironically, it was at the Probe, in Hollywood. I think there's definitely another place. I don't know if it was the Cat House that was at the Probe or something else that, like, I know there was a Depeche Mode connection there too.
Yeah.
But I feel like it might have been where I met Depeche Mode the first time after the warehouse incident too. But actually the Helter Skelter moved several different locations over the years. So I think the first time I saw him in 90 was a different spot even. We even saw him in Mexico in Tijuana on the Pretty Hate Machine tour, and he played everything he had at the time, including Suck and Get Down, Make Love and all the songs on Pretty Hate Machine. And I snuck of all the cameras to take in, I took a Polaroid, and the little rubber lens came off the viewfinder, and I'm in the pit trying to take pictures, scratching my face up because there's the rubber thing was off. And so I blew up one of those pictures and I had him sign it for at Request Video.
Yeah.
I saw Nirvana. Well, I saw a lot of shows at Iguanas, but I remember seeing Nirvana at Iguanas. A hole opened up, and it was right when Nevermind came out, and it was before the show that they did. And I want to say it was at the Palace, but I remember that at the Iguanas show, they did almost nothing off of Nevermind. Like, it was all tracks off of Bleach at the time.
Oh, wow.
Like, we were all shocked because we were all expecting them to do tracks from Nevermind, and they didn't.
Wow.
And I think that's the show where one of my buddies like headbutt me so hard that I passed out. It was either that or OMD. I can't remember now.
I think that might have been the same year that I saw Nine Inch Nails there, because I know a bunch of people I know saw Nirvana at Iguanas in 91.
Okay. Maybe I did see them there. I went to a lot of shows down at Iguanas. I remember seeing Toad the Wet Sprocket. I remember they were slam dancing to Toad the Wet Sprocket at Iguanas.
Check this out.
Which was just bizarre. Ha! Yeah, you know what? I think I actually went to that show. I think I did. As a matter of fact, if I pulled my ticket stubs out, I bet I think I did. It was dangerous going down there. We saw somebody die on the way back one night.
Oh shit.
Somebody had got the bridge, the bridge you had to go across.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were walking across and everyone's like huddled around. I'm like, why? Because somebody had gotten thrown off or had jumped off and they were just dead. That was scary. I still can't believe that
I used to see that all the time in Hollywood. People go up, stab them. People go up to them, shoot them in the face. Just all kinds of stuff every time in Hollywood. Right by Capitol Records.
Hey,
I don't think I had any problems at Iguanas. And I even walked across. I went to Jane's Addiction, Nothing Shocking, and also Red Hot Chili Peppers there. But back then, I mean, I wouldn't think now, but back then I thought it was all pretty chill. And I even got let in for free by what do they call them, Federale, into the Jane's Addiction show.
Well, you know what? I think when we're. Well, go ahead, John.
Oh, I was just going to say that I don't think we thought about it much back then. Like at that age, being 18, we didn't really think much about any sort of danger or worrying about it being down in Mexico. But I remember after the EMF show, me and my buddy Mike were hanging out, and there was an area outside the venue that there was like some tables, and we were just by ourselves. And I remember the Federales came up, and they were like pretty much told us, "You guys need to leave. You need to go home." And that was like the only time being down there that I was like genuinely worried. You could just tell, and just got a vibe from them. But at that age, you just don't think that. So whatever. I'm in Mexico, and it wasn't a big deal. I'm just here to see my band. You don't think about it. You think about it now as we're older, but I didn't think about it back then.
Exactly.
Did you see him play in L.A. EMF?
What's that?
Did you see him play in L.A. EMF?
Oh yeah. I went to a ton of the EMF shows.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
I remember as a quick story.
That was a good one, Rob.
I'm gonna sound like a. EMF was playing at the Universal Amphitheater. We had filled up a whole bunch of water bottles with peppermint schnapps because it was clear. And I remember that I got so drunk that I passed out before the show, and my buddy had to actually drive me back home, so I didn't even make it to the show. Boy, I sound like an alcoholic. It really wasn't that bad, but
they played the two songs over and over and over and over and over.
Yep.
Hey, so I want to say we got to toast a little with Alan Wilder, but let's do a real quick happy birthday to Joey over there. Like, let's sing it. It's going to be crazy because we're all over the place, but hopefully the latency's not terrible. But a 1, a 2, a 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Joey. Happy birthday to you.
Cheers, Joey, come out the candles.
Happy birthday.
Here you go, Joey.
Happy birthday, Joey.
Cheers.
Big 5-0. Yeah.
Yay.
Celebrate.
Yeah, that's right.
It's steak time.
Hey, isn't this cool? There's all kinds of craziness here. We have people from Australia, we have people from all over the world, and then we've got birthdays, and kind of fun, right?
Yeah, love it. It's a party.
Yeah, it's a party.
More than a party. Yeah,
exactly.
More than a party.
We just got to get the balance right. Yeah, definitely with our discussion regarding mortality, or the lack of fear of mortality when we were younger. I mean, I would even eat the hot dogs from the street vendors and TJ and
wrapped in bacon.
Yeah, those were like, oh yeah,
that was bacon.
Those were the best. Those were the best. They were amazing. They were so good.
Right.
I thought that was roadkill.
We used to call them dog dogs.
Yeah, it was dog dogs. I seen it.
Ew. Hey, they had those outside the forum that night.
I couldn't resist.
Well, yeah, we know better now than to have the ones outside the forum. But back in the days in Mexico, we didn't know better.
I knew better.
Hot dog.
Who knew better?
I knew better.
Oh, well, you were probably a much smarter young man than we were. We were just.
I probably was just lit and I didn't know where it was.
Yeah, we just.
Rob, did you happen to go to the Morrissey show at UCLA? Out of curiosity.
Yes, I was there.
Yes,
yeah,
I did. Was it the one where he asked everybody to come down?
He
and
incited the riot,
show? Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was fourth row for that. I had to get yanked up on stage.
Oh,
to get out of the arena when that happened.
Oh my gosh.
I was so ticked off.
That was horrible.
Why does he do that?
That guy,
Why does he do
man.
that every time? Every time he runs, come on down. It's over.
It's funny because
one song.
my son ended up going to UCLA, so I got to tell him about the stories about that, and I'm a big Doors fan too, so I tell him, yeah, Jim Morrison's one of your fellow alumni.
Rob, I think it's going to end up being a case of which shows did we not both attend at this point in time. I'm going to have
no doubt. I still
share with you my list, man.
I
That's
still
hysterical.
think there's got to be a connection of one person too, but
I know.
Maybe
I
not.
just think we were all at the same places.
Yeah, it might be.
Because now we were just always, hey, it's that guy again.
Same
It's an
thing.
Orange County thing.
Same thing with like Jeff. Like I said, I know him through Steve, who I knew just from the shows, and then another great friend of mine, Bill Carlisle. I know him I would always see him at concerts, and then my buddy Jeff went to serve in the Gulf War. Who's on here? Jeff, thank you for your service. And when he was gone, I ended up like going hanging out with Bill Carlisle a lot because Jeff was gone. So it was just a guy I had seen at all these concerts that we were always at the same place, at the same clubs, at the same concerts, and we had the same love of the same bands, and it was just cool.
Man, go back to your house and sing the Doors song and Soft Cell and get all lit.
See, and that's the cool thing. There is that community of, obviously music ties people together completely, but I feel like there's even a stronger bond with Depeche Mode.
Yeah, and that's why I would love to see sort of a breakdown, like getting back to the set list conversation. Like I would be interested to see what the demographic was of the people that are going to the shows, because I was wondering, the band has talked about a lot when they put how difficult it is to put the set list together, and they want to make sure that that everybody is hearing the songs and the hits that they want to hear. And I imagine that there's a bit of a crowd response that they're getting from some songs over other songs. And I think Dave has said before in the past there's certain songs that are just difficult for him to sing. But I would be interested to know like what percentage of the audience is made up of people like us that would be going on to a chat like this, that would be listening to a podcast beyond just being a casual fan, that has kept up with the band all these years and aren't just fans of the hits that they had going back to the 90s. I'd be curious to know whether or not it's a larger percentage or a smaller percentage, and whether or not they base sort of the songs they play off of that, knowing that if they go a little deeper, they may not get the response that they want from the audience. I'd be curious.
Yeah, that would be interesting. The interesting thing is, and I don't really dive into it too much, but I can look at all the analytics from our group, and we have a big base to base on, right? 21,000 plus people. So I could see the age groups, the locations, everything, all the Facebook data. I should look at that and share that with you, John, so you could do that as a future podcast just to talk about. Yeah. I haven't really dove into it much myself right now, but I think that would be a great conversation for a future episode.
Rob, that amount of people, that's an arena show in itself.
Oh, that's more than that. Sells out the forum, and there's like 4,000 people on the waiting list right there.
That's T-Mobile, isn't it? T-Mobile 20.
I don't know what's the capacity at T-Mobile, but I know that's why I'm not too interested in Vegas shows so much anymore, because they used to play these little, the Hard Rock and the Palms, and now it's just another arena, so I'd rather go to
the Sphere.
I'm going to step away for just a moment because I've had a lot of beer, so I'm going to hit the restroom real quick. But John, take over the podcast here for a second, please.
So I guess I'd be curious what you guys think with regard to what we were talking about, of how many casual fans do you think are going to the shows in 2023? I mean, how many, as individuals who know personal Jesus and enjoy the silence, just can't get enough. I mean, how much of that audience do you think is just that audience?
With the ticket prices being what they are, I don't think they're just casual.
I agree. Yeah, I agree the same.
We got 3 different types: the Cuervo Silver, the Diamante Reposado, and the 1800 Reposado. They're all by Cuervo? No.
I agree because,
Cuervo, this is by
we've been waiting for so long for Depeche Mode to come back, and I think it's a lot of serious fans that are going there. And the new fans are probably like people that, like the parents that raise their kids on DN.
Right. But it's just what's called a Cristalino type of
Somebody needs to be muted.
Yeah.
I think that's Joey. He was supposed to leave and he didn't.
Is it Joey? I can try to do that on my end here, I think.
Sure.
I don't know where they are.
That's fine.
That's my I think it's Steve. Steve needs
yeah,
to
you
get
can
moved
Steve
on.
Steve Silva.
Is it that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did we get it? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're right.
So what were you saying? You think that like people with families and I mean, I wonder if those are individuals that have continued to buy the albums.
I think so. I mean, actually, I haven't gone to my first concert yet. I'm gonna wait. I'm going in Ireland. That's gonna be my first concert this tour. But I'm seeing a lot of people are taking their children and their families, and it's like a generational thing. And yeah, I do see some new fans, but it's a lot of serious people who have been waiting so long. And it's just, yeah, we've been waiting so long, and even going to different cities to see them just so they don't miss it, because it's just been, a long time coming for us. So yeah.
That's very true, Ellie. And Dave sang "Happy Birthday" to a little girl. I think she was like 13 years old or something like that in Vegas. But
I was there at that Vegas show. That was an amazing moment.
How wonderful!
It was so wonderful that he actually went twice by her to look at the sign, because she actually had a sign. Oh, I'm gonna put myself on camera. Sorry. And so she was on on Martin's side, right on the aisle, and she had her sign up. And he had read the sign like twice, and he didn't do anything about it. But then when it was a song that they both sung on the aisle, right at the front, he came back for the night. Like, okay, he's like, I'm gonna sing it. He was like, oh, and he read the note to everybody, and it was just the sweetest thing, that he didn't have to do that, but it was just like, oh my God, like that birthday for that child is never going to be the same, ever. It's just like, that's something that's just going to take forever, and like, be like, oh my God, this guy sang this song for me.
That's so beautiful.
20,000 people. Well, he did that in Toronto as well. Do you know that? He did that to a 27-year-old in Toronto a week ago. So ever since people are holding up signs, I'm noticing at all the shows, people are bringing signs.
I'm going to take a sign with glitter.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed this. I noticed it at the forum, and then a friend of mine who was at the Vegas show noticed this. There's a woman with a nice music stand and light, and she's sign languaging a bunch of people in a section of the arena, doing sign languages to every song that's being played. So I never saw that before. It was crazy, and she was dancing too. So.
This whole from what I'm seeing from people posting, their pictures and videos of the tour so far, I mean, it just looks like a big family reunion. It really does. Like everyone seems to know each other. It's really beautiful.
We missed you guys at the Vegas one. We were celebrating Jeff's birthday.
Happy birthday, Jeff.
That was last month. But yeah,
hey,
it was
Rob,
a whole big
back?
bunch of us.
I am back here.
It was a whole
Feel free to
Rob,
keep asking good questions. It sounds like you had a good question right there.
Well, I wanted to, along the same lines, I'm curious to know what people's thoughts are about the abundance of cell phone recording happening during the show. We know that Dave called it out, at least at one show. I don't know if it was more than one show. Watching any of the YouTube videos, I mean, you just, it's a sea of people, recording the shows. For me personally, I'll just be, anybody can do whatever they want to do. For me personally, I have no intention of doing that. Like if I'm going to go see a Depeche Mode show, it's going to be like it was before when I was younger. I'm not going to watch it through my cell phone. I'm shocked that as many people are, but I'd be very interested to hear the thoughts of those who've gone to the shows, and if it was distracting at all, if maybe you're doing it too and it's not a big deal, if it changes your experience at all.
There's a way to record with your phone where you don't have to like look at your phone. You just put it out like down here or something, and you watch the show.
But that's not the typical thing. The problem is, like, so opening night Sacramento, the very first, as soon as Memento Mori comes on, or My Cosmos is Mine comes on, the guy right in front of me has his phone up above his head. It's like, dude, if you don't want to see it through your lens, I don't want to see it through your lens. You know, I called him out. I'm like, dude, I hope you're not going to be doing that the whole time. And he put it down and never did it again the rest of the night. And you know, I wasn't going to be hypocritical. I took a few select pictures. I only posted 2 pictures from the opening night, and one went viral like crazy. The one with this dead center picture with like the fan in front of me holding their the world in my eyes symbol up, and the only other picture was from I think that was it was when I took a picture with Anton Corbijn. I saw him running down the aisle, and I went out like and met him, and like had my camera ready, and he posed for me, and then nobody else knew, and then they realized after I took the picture, they tried to get him to pose, and he's like, he left. But
that's Anton.
Those are the only 2 pictures I even posted from the show. And then in LA, I was front row, and I don't want to watch through a lens, but I will record like 2 songs for the show. I told myself I'll record 2 songs, and I picked Speak to Me and Sister of Night. And I try to pick songs that they've not done before, or like are very unique, or something that it's not just for me, but it's also for me, but something that I could share with people if like, because obviously people want to see this stuff, right? So that's why I picked those 2 songs. I mean, Speak to Me was the first song. I had already heard My Cosmos Is Mine and Ghosts Again before I heard the album the first time. When I heard the album the first time, the song that spoke to me the most was Speak to Me. So I did choose to record that. And Sister of Night, that was, you know, only the second or third time they had ever played that with Dave on vocals when I recorded in LA. I had seen it the first night in Sacramento. But I feel like it's okay to do it to a point, but also you have to record it at your level, not like blocking other people. You know, if you're going to do it, if you're going to choose to do it, it has to be in front of you, not like, and I also think it should be very minimal. Like, honestly, here's the best thing I would have to say about this. Almost all of us have done this at some point, but how many of us actually go watch that stuff? Like, there's way better videos that other people have shot out there that you don't need to film it. Like, just let the other people film it, especially the professionals film it, and it's going to be there. You're going to see it. You're going to have the memories. I mean, sure, it's cool, like, to have, and that's why I say do a couple clips, do a couple pictures, do a couple, maybe a song or 2, but nothing more than that. There's people who sit there and film the whole concert. It's like, you're watching through your iPhone instead of watching what's going on in real life. But
Rob, what will you do with those 2 videos that you shot? Like, will you keep those? Is that something you'll go and watch later? Do you have a place you put them, or what will you do?
I posted those on the Depeche Global YouTube page. So they are there, and I like at the Hollywood Bowl, I filmed only the changes they did each night, and even that was probably too much because there was still like a lot of changes, but I was aware that people were going to be blown away by these changes. So I had, like, for Hollywood Bowl, I had front row one night, second row another night, third row. The only night I had 7th row was the first night, which when they did the same set list they normally do. So I was looking at it more in like being informational, but I still, you know, I didn't. And that night I was trying to do it below me. Like I obviously don't want to do it above, but I was where I didn't even want to watch it through the lens. I wanted to film it, but luckily I'm tall enough. I'm 6'2".
Exactly. Why would you put it above your head? There's nobody up there.
No, but I'm saying I wouldn't do it at my eye level either, because I wanted to watch it. So I was filming below my eye level so I could see it, and I wasn't paying attention to the video.
Okay, but you have to think of it. Okay, you mentioned your height. My height is 5'2". If I were to look at it through my eye level, I'm gonna film somebody's back. Okay,
right?
So it's like,
but then
it's
that's
all
why
about perspective.
But then that's why you shouldn't film it then, because then you're blocking someone else's view.
No, I'm definitely not gonna block somebody else's view because I'm underneath everybody else.
Well, I guess it depends on who's standing behind you.
That should be a ticket thing. That's like a ticket thing. That's like Kevin Hart. You can't record anything.
I've always said that. Okay,
No, you know what? I feel like the bands.
Everybody that's short in the front.
I feel like the bands these days, what they should do, at one point they were recording the audio for every show. You could buy the audio. What they should do is have a film version of every show with professional photography. You just pay an extra price, whatever, like $25. You could lock up everyone's phones, and if they want to buy the video or the pictures, why not do that? They're making all their money on live performances anyway. And this goes back to the band. If Dave is saying, put your fucking phones away, make them put their phones away. Offer a video that is a professionally shot video memory from that show. If you sell it at a cheap price, $25, you get 17,000 people. It's way worth the money they invested to film it.
Easy.
Well,
they were doing that. They were doing that a couple of tours back when you could buy. You could buy the live recording every single night. There was like a service you could do. Yeah.
Yeah, you could buy the live audio recording, and I bought Anaheim and Las Vegas, and I actually in Vegas when they played the Hard Rock in 2005, 2006 time. It was right after they played Coachella. We had a room overlooking the stage. And so I took a camcorder, my buddy, I didn't want to film it, but he filmed the entire show from our room, and I bought the audio and synced it up to that video. So I've made only a DVD called In Our Room because, it was from our room. That I didn't want it to become this bootleg that all these people are making money off of. So I only gave it to like a few select friends that I told, do not give this to anybody else. Like I burned it on DVD for them, but it's not the greatest quality video, but it's pretty good. It's 720 by 480 back then, whatever. But synced up with the professional audio, it's a pretty cool little different memory. And actually, when Dave was walking off the stage to the, back to wherever their entrance, he flashed all the girls in our room. So that was kind of a funny way to end the video, but yeah, I totally get, like, you don't want to impact someone else's pleasure from a show. There's a fine line. You got to get the balance right. That's the thing.
I wonder how many of the people that are filming the shows are going to go back and watch it. I know a lot of people put them up on YouTube, and you can see them all over YouTube. But that being said, I genuinely would love to know the percentage of individuals, again, who record the show and then actually either go watch it themselves or post it for others to see. I just think for a lot of people, it just becomes like, I'm here, I can do it. And you go back to, the Devotional or World Violation tour. Like people were scared to bring in recorders to record the show back then. It's incredible now, but just how much you can just grab whatever you want.
Right. I think the very first show I even brought a camera into was Exciter at the Hard Rock Depeche Mode performance there during the Exciter tour.
Did you go to the Roxy show? The K-Rock Roxy show?
I was at the Roxy.
Okay, yeah. I was too.
The stage was so low. The stage was so low because I was up front. That Dave was still shorter than me, with the stage.
Yeah,
tiny.
You were probably standing like right next to me.
That's so hilarious.
That's just
no, but you know what? I think I would have recognized you at that point though, because we had hung out for sure in the '90s. I know we did. Yeah.
To the height issue, I was dating a girl who was about 5'2" when I went to Manchester for the singles tour. And we got floor seats. And I remember getting to the show, and I can see you shaking your head. We got to the show, and I felt, because I'm 6'1", almost 6'2". We got to the show, and I felt so bad because we were about like 20th row on the floor, and she couldn't see anything. I think she ended in the aisle at some point. I felt so bad when you were talking about that. I'm like, oh yeah, Jennifer went through that, and I felt absolutely horrible because we didn't get seats up above. I thought I was cool getting floor
Did
seats.
she have to go sit on the seat? I mean, stand on the seat, because that's what I would do.
Yeah. She stood on the seat for a while, but then I think we were close enough to the center aisle where she actually popped out into the aisle for a portion of the show and was out there, dancing during the show before they pushed her back into the row.
See that? Yeah, that's the other
So,
part.
John-
That'll be right there.
John, to add to the phone thing, Jack White uses the pouches. I forget what they're called, but your phone's essentially locked up to where you can't. If you need to make a phone call, you have to go back to an area away from the show. But
Bono did that.
He's tired of it. He's tired of it. He doesn't want to see people taking videos, and he wants you to be engaged. In the show instead of camera.
Doesn't he offer like free photos of the show, like by a professional photographer?
Photos or video?
Yeah, Jack White.
I mean,
he does have and he posts all the photographer will post all the photographs that they took to Instagram.
See, and that's cool. That would make more sense. Like, if everyone's available, and it'd be cool if they have video too, performance wise, but even photos, okay. Like, it's going to be better than the video, especially, I mean, my worst seats were in Sacramento and I was like 8th row from the catwalk, and I'm thinking my video is just going to be crap from here anyway. Like, I didn't even bother shooting any video. Like, like, it doesn't matter what I mean, it's just not good. Like, I feel like there's people who take video from like the top level, and you can't even see the video screens from your video. Like, like, what does anybody want to see that for? What is that for? Like, I don't know, but I've been to many shows, and including on my New York trip, Bono had you lock up your phones, which I enjoy it. Like, when the phones are locked up, it's actually nice to not have that. And you don't even have to worry about anything yourself too. Cause sometimes you think, oh, I should have took a picture of that or a video of that. It's like, no, I don't have to worry about it. It's like, just enjoy it. Just enjoy what you're seeing and take it in, because that's what you're really paying for, is that experience. Not, you don't need, I mean, sure, it would be nice if we had video phones. Like, you were talking about the devotional tour earlier, John. I actually went to a post party with Depeche Mode after the devotional tour at the Forum at the Beverly Hilton, and I was even splitting tequila shots with Trent Reznor, who was there. And there was some ladies that were there that took a picture of me and Martin with their disposable camera, but they were supposed to mail it to me. I never got it. I wish I had some video or pictures from that event, but
right.
That's obviously way different than the concert itself. Like, but even still, it'd be cool to have pictures and video from when we saw them in 86 or 90 or 87 or the Rose Bowl, like all that stuff. Like, I regret not taking a camera to the Rose Bowl or whatever,
Yeah, I do too. Because it carries more weight now. I mean, now you photograph everything. I mean, it's right there. You got a studio in your hand. But even going back and looking at those old photos, and when I pulled out my collection the other day, in it was just a whole bunch of pictures that I hadn't seen in, I mean, literally decades. And they all had special meaning, because I remembered that those, we weren't documenting everything. It was a process. When you were taking pictures, it wasn't like, oh, hey, it's on my phone. I mean, Polaroids maybe, but be that as it may, if you were taking regular photographs, you had to go somewhere. You had to wait for them to be developed. You had to go back and get them again. I mean, there was a whole thing involved with capturing these memories that, I sound like an old back in my day, but still, I mean, it's, and now I think I go to these, I'm looking forward to going to the show, but you see what's happening at the shows now, and I'm almost going the other way, and I'm going, put your phone down. Experience it. Let it create memories. Don't waste the moment by looking through a screen while you're taking this in. Because I still remember those moments from those shows back then.
Do you think we're like that because we were like? Do you think that we take pictures and videos now when we go to the shows because we were told not to so many times before, especially on the ticket? No photos, no this, no that. So now we're just like, we got our phones out.
Yeah, it may be. Maybe it's a weird flip than it was before. Like you want to be able to capture memories now, but we capture so much that I feel like we miss the experience angle of it. It's the trade-off. Right. You're getting the photo.
I didn't take any video, but at Anaheim, I was urged by the people next to me to pull out my phone. And I'm so glad that I did, because, that was keeping me going until this tour now. So I'm kind of glad I did pull out my phone.
I mean, I could be thankful, like someone took a great high-res picture that I just printed, but I haven't picked it up yet, of Martin throwing me the pick in Madison Square Garden. Another person took that video, obviously. That's the kind of stuff I can't ever be thankful enough that someone captured that, right? But it's also different, like, okay, there's 4,000 videos of Dave performing Sister of Night, like there's a difference in what, but you might miss the moment. Like the happy birthday was a special moment, right? If someone's not filming that, it's not captured. So I feel like we become as a society where we're afraid to miss, like there's the fear of missing out on that moment, right? The FOMO, but also because of that, we're doing too much and we're living too much through the lens as opposed to just enjoying the moment.
Everything is social media. I mean, every single thing, even like these takeovers, all the cars peeling out, everyone's got their cameras out filming everything. So there should be something on that ticket saying you can't do it. It's like, again, Kevin Hart, if you have those laws set there or rules, if you will, then it won't happen. Because I agree with you. If you pay a lot of money for a front row ticket to get there and someone stands in front of you on the seat and just has their camera in front of your face, you're like, oh, this is awesome. I paid a lot of money for this. Or even if you didn't pay a lot of money for it, but there should be rules, and like Bono said, lock those the phones up. But we are in the age of social media. We're on it right now. So there should be, these rules, I think.
Well, here's like an example. I mentioned earlier in the chat that one of the most memorable experiences I had seeing the band was the first show that I saw on the devotional tour in San Jose. And from the moment that Higher Love started and, Dave in silhouette with, the thunder cracking or, whatever they were using at the time. And then every song being a reveal, not knowing what they were going to play because we didn't know ahead of time what the set list was and what the stage was going to look like and what Anton's, film was. I'll never forget that show. And when I go and watch Devotional, shot in a completely, different place over different nights, I still reflect and I still can bring about those emotions that I saw at that show in San Jose all those years ago. Whereas I think for a lot of people now, it's the experience aspect of it that they're missing by capturing the moment on their screen, on their phone, that they won't. I would fear. If I were doing that, I would fear that I would miss out on the emotional impact of what I'm watching when I would then go and watch, say, the Memento Mori tour Blu-ray when it comes out and have a similar experience to what I had with Devotional. Because I know when I go, I may take a picture like I did during the Spirit show, the Spirit tour show. But other than that, I want to take it all in because this may be the last time that I end up seeing them, live.
One quick note. I just want to say quick shout out to Marisol. Hey, Marisol.
Yes. I just want to give my opinion. I think it depends on how every person experiences that moment, because I have seen different videos from different countries and I see the people that is still like they don't dance. But I personally like filming, taking photos, dancing, and doing. I'm a multitasking girl, I think. I can do different things at the same time. I know it will be kind of disgusting if you see one person in front of you all the time. But on the other hand, I think thanks to those videos, I think people that are at home that couldn't afford a ticket are able to connect with that. It happened to me with different concerts all over the globe that I was like experiencing like I was there. I've been following the Memento Mori tour since it started through all the recorders online, and I connected online and I could live the moment. Some friends of mine traveled to the US and I could experience. And I hope they finally announced Latin America, and still waiting for those pieces of news. So I hope they chose to come back here. But I think it's good. I mean, we need to respect the others, but I know everybody is not the same. Every person has fun in a different way, and it will be difficult to stop maybe people from doing that, because every person is totally different. Maybe I am the kind of girl that loves dancing and shouting, and there's a guy that is still like a mummy and doesn't move. And evidently, I get angry and mad how you cannot move if it's Depeche, but it's his way. And I understand not everybody's like me, like jumping and shouting and getting crazy. So I think everybody is an individual person, and we need to accept that we are all different. There's nothing else to say.
No, I agree that, but I'm just my only complaint is don't hinder someone else's view. that is the only issue. But John, by the way, Marisol is joining us from Peru.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I know on your podcast I hear like your emails from readers all over the world too, but it's awesome.
Oh, it's incredible
that we have all these people joining up. We've had, everywhere across the globe has joined on our drinking chats, from Israel, Japan, South America, all over Europe. It's phenomenal. Like, it's great.
Well, and what I love about it too is that there's so few places where we can find common ground anymore, and that's been what, for me personally, that's been one of the joys of doing the podcast every week. When I started it, it was I was doing it regularly, and then I took sort of a huge big break when there wasn't a lot going on with the band, and after Fletch's passing last year, I started doing it frequently again, and now I'm doing it every single week. But that's what's been so amazing for me in going through this journey and meeting all these fans, is that there's common ground here that we all have in this bond that we have with this band that we love, and there's just so few places left anymore where we can have that, and I personally find it just truly special, and it's always been like that. I mean, it's been like that ever since I became a Depeche Mode fan, with all fans, and so it's truly amazing. And I think that's probably the reason why we're all here today.
Absolutely.
Talking about cell phone
I think, especially because there's a lot of us on here that are old school fans. But like you said, that community, we were more tight knit because there was less of us, back then, but we were also like, it felt very special because there was not a lot of people that like were huge like fans like us, but there were,
right.
But we just didn't know them because we weren't connected by technology like we are now. But like, in our small communities, there's like, a handful of people here at this high school or at this high school or whatever. But now when you can build the communities together like we do now, like to have like 21,000 people across the globe that are all like huge fans that are coming together and doing this kind of thing. It's really cool that technology this is the good side of social media to me, Jay, you just put a big post there. What's up? Oh, you're playing tonight?
No. Well, hello everybody. I'm Jay. I happen to have a tribute band called Ultra Mode, and I just got the email from my contact up in Seattle. I'd already booked a show for Friday the 23rd in September, or 22nd in September, to play a casino up there. Flat rate, they fly us up. And then I reached out to another place that I saw the band Strangelove play at when I was there in December. And I reached out to Brent from Strangelove, and I said, are you cool if I reach out to them? Because I'm going to be in Seattle for this other thing, and I was going to try to get another show. And he's like, yeah, of course. No problem, dude. So I reached out to this other venue to play this Saturday, and they booked us. So we are very stoked. We're going to have 2 shows up in Seattle, where I grew up.
Sweet.
So, and then my buddy, Pat Partington, he's in a band called Juke Juke. We went to college together 30 years ago. he's got an original band, electronic, jangly guitar, like indie, like kind of like New Order meets the Smiths kind of thing. They're going to open for us, and which is a dream because nobody would have saw that coming 30 years ago when we were, in college together. So I'm really excited. So I get to bring the mode music to the masses of Seattle, where I grew up. So I'm you guys are the first to hear it. So
awesome!
I'm
Congrats!
really excited, and Rob.
Oh, Jay.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
Alan. I'll say Alan to that. Drink.
Cheers. Is that that?
Alan is the drinking word today.
All right, let me get my drink. So, so yeah, I want to give another shout out to Rob for keeping us going during the pandemic, and now keeping us going now for those of you that are in far off places and can't meet up in person. So, cheers to Rob, Alan.
Hey Jay, that's a nice cup.
Thank you. Yes, I've had this since I moved to LA. That's LA Rams before they moved to St. Louis, and that's
I was talking about that
Angels.
Side. The Angels side, yeah, there you go.
I went to an Angels game in like '93 and got this cup, and this is my favorite cup. So
I know
Angels.
your fifth favorite team.
And cheers, John Justice. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. And with that, Rob, I got to. Speaking of which, I got to go rejoin my my family.
Can we? I think we have one more question. Can we do that real quick?
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I got a minute.
Jackie, you
yeah,
have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys, Rob and John, and meeting everybody here. This has been great. And I'm one of the people that does the video, takes videos, and then takes photos. But then at times that I don't, like when I'm first row, I might do the video. But I do get to experience. And then I do have a question, but you guys was show and tell. I did not have a camera for this one, but I was at Royal Albert Hall, and here's my T-shirt.
Oh, nice.
So back in 2010, when it was the
wow,
yeah, that was pretty good.
So you got to see Alan.
Drink.
Alan.
Yeah, there you go. Drink.
See what I did there?
I hear you, but Richard, it still gives me goosebumps to remember where I was sitting at that moment at the piano, and Martin, and
wow.
I just right now. I mean, it's because like John, everybody was saying, just to be in that moment. I did not have a camera, and then to be there at Royal Albert Hall, priceless.
Awesome.
So,
yeah, that's epic.
and I still have the T-shirt, and then I remembered my friend Paulo who gave me this T-shirt. But and I cut it down, but in the back, look, it's got devotee.
So did you have any idea that Alan was going to be performing that night?
I did not.
So well, at least, you might not have taken video, but there's video out there of it. So you can relive it.
That's the great thing. Yeah,
yes,
exactly. That's why I say a lot of times it's like, well, there's better video that I would have shot, but
yes.
Exactly. So,
but here's just a quick question about streaming. I have a friend who's a fish head, and they have the video and they stream it and stuff. Has Depeche ever done any kind of streaming of their shows, or would that be something that we want to have happen in the future? Or
there's been streaming by the festivals that they've played, but never like a pay-per-view kind of thing from Depeche Mode per se. But there's been several streaming where it's because they were playing at a particular festival or something.
Okay, like when they played in Europe. Okay,
yeah, gotcha. Austin City Limits in 2014, I believe. It was that was streamed.
It was
on YouTube.
Okay.
They played.
I want to thank everybody for joining. We could still hang out a little bit here, but if you could all put your hands together and give a big round of applause to John for joining us. So
thank you, John.
Yay!
Thank you.
Yay!
Yeah, thank you
Rob,
so much.
But before I leave, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they do a just because you said pay-per-view, didn't they do a pay-per-view of One Night in Paris before it came out on DVD?
Okay, yeah. So I guess I do stand corrected, but
I wasn't connecting the two
because that wasn't live though, right?
Right, it wasn't live. But didn't they do that?
I think they did. Yeah. I think you're right.
That.
Well, I was just thinking of like a live stream because she said
I know.
stream.
Yeah.
You just
because I remember watching
more of a.
Sorry, I just remember watching a couple streams live, and I would set it up on my Apple TV, but they were because the festival hosted it and not like there was any official Depeche Mode. But yeah, that's a very good point. I totally forgot about that.
Rob,
The band has always seemed to kind of do a lot of like groundbreaking things in that digital kind of thing until like Blu-ray came around. Then it was like, why do you keep putting out DVDs when Blu-ray's been like a standard for
I know.
But like
how would you feel about them streaming the Berlin show or one of the shows and any of the shows?
I feel like that's another missed opportunity. Like the same with if they're going to film it, they could sell it to the audience. They could pay for people to stream it. Their fans are so hardcore. I mean, this is another point that back to what John had mentioned earlier about, having one big show or something. I honestly feel like their guys are on top of this. That like they played 4 nights at the Hollywood Bowl, which is like whatever 17,000 something, maybe 20,000, I don't know, per night. But I feel like they got a better turnout that way than if they had one big show because there's so much duplication. Like I was there all 4 nights. A lot of other fans were there 4 nights.
Yeah.
If you have, I don't know if you're going to have as many, unless people, unless it's like, for some reason, everyone's nostalgic to go to the Rose Bowl. If they announced another Rose Bowl show, people would fly in from all over the world. So then you would fill up that 60,000. But if it was nothing special other than just a big venue of 60,000, I don't know that they would fill it up in SoCal anymore, even though they used to. I feel like a lot of it is duplication, people going to the same show multiple nights. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to figure out what that is, but I feel like their guys, although I don't know that their guys necessarily are with it now, they were with it during the Spirit tour, but it feels like there's a lot of clunkiness going on with this release as far as dates and.
Hey Rob, also I think
things,
it's is there enough venues available for when they're trying to schedule a tour?
Well, I mean, if you want to play one stadium night at Angel Stadium or Dodger Stadium, or it's not going to be a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
No.
But you have to be able to draw it in. You have to be able to pull the crowd. And can they? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I know they can in Europe. I don't know. In SoCal, I know they can over multiple nights, but it's because so many of us are going multiple nights, So I don't know. It's an interesting. That's another topic for you.
Bye, John. Podcast. Thank you.
So, John, we'll have to chat soon about all this. But I hope you had a great
John.
time, and thanks for joining us.
No, I did. And anybody wants to check out my stuff, you can go to mynerdworld.net. That's where all my stuff is at. So thank you so much for having me. I look forward to coming back on again, and I'll talk to all you guys soon. Rob, it was great seeing you. Matt, it was great seeing you, and great seeing the rest of you guys. We'll have a great weekend, everybody.